singing it. It's kind of embarrassing. I feel like everybody who sings the song is like, oh, I didn't even know I was singing it. Excuse me. Where did you learn that song? Where? Like, you heard it on the radio, or maybe you heard someone else singing it? It was you. Huh? You used to sing it. What? What are you talking about? That's impossible. You remember when you were in middle school and Mayuri got really depressed, right? When her grandma died? Everybody was really worried, but one day she suddenly got better. But then you started going crazy. What was all that about? You were a bad scientist. Oh man, hold on. Clearly it's supposed to be mad. Please stop. It's the English. It's good. Was there anything in the world more terrifying than hearing about your own dark history from your mom? Dark history says it was like 6 months ago. When you started being a bad what's-it, you would sing that song whenever you took a bath. You sang it so often I guess I learned it. I sang it? That's right, you don't remember? Oh, a customer's here. Bye. It's going to rain soon, so come home quick. I think that's the first time we ever hear his mom's voice. Like, through the entire first game, it's like, we know he has parents, but they're not story important. Seriously? Well, the great mystery is, it was him. So, Ocarina, how'd it go? Did you find anything out? I explained what I heard from my mom, even though I didn't really understand it myself. Apparently neither did they. Yeah, they were surprised. I was more surprised than anybody. I was so surprised that I was actually feeling pretty calm. So, what does this all mean? What did it mean? Time travel's weird. Kagari had learned the song from Mayuri in the future. Mayuri had learned it in the present from Suzuha. Suzuha had learned it from Yuki in the future. Yuki had learned it from my mom. She doesn't even get a picture. And my mom had learned it from me. She gets an outline. Did I ever sing? Mayushi doesn't remember. If it was a popular song, maybe I would have hummed it, but... no luck. Can't remember. What do we do? We're out of clues, aren't we? Mayuri looked like she was about to cry. Kagari gave her a gentle hug. Please calm down, Mayuri. Okabe, does the fact that you sang it when Mayuri was depressed give you any kind of clue? I don't know. I didn't really do anything special. All I did was go see Mayuri when she was visiting her grandmother's grave. That was when Kyoma Hoyoin, now sealed away, had been born. It's so weird to not have it the other way. Should we go to her grave then? You might remember something. Is that possible? After all this, I want to see this through to the end. Yeah, they put in a lot of time and effort trying to find it. Ocarina, Mayushi wants you to do it too. Okay, let's go. Thank you. The sun was about to set, so we decided to go the next day. Smart, no need to go to the grave. I mean, you can go to a graveyard at night, but like, you know, why go traveling around? Also, I don't know where it is in relation to where they are. I've never been to Japan, but I can't imagine there's a sizable graveyard in the middle of Akihabara. Hold on, just getting the tea bag out of the tea. I love this tea, but it's weird that it doesn't have a string on it. Alright. Tasty though. Cemeteries are certainly something, and again, like, nothing wrong going at night, but like, I definitely don't think it's near like the city center. But again, I've never been to Akihabara, I don't know. The next day, the sky had been cloudy since morning. You can't go, storyline wise, like in fiction, you can't go to a graveyard on a non-rainy day. It's impossible. Especially a graveyard where somebody who is dear to a main character is buried. It can't be a sunny day. It's just the rules of fiction. I met with Kagari and Mayuri at a spot near the cemetery where her grandmother was buried. Looks like it's going to rain, huh? I didn't bring an umbrella. The weather said it wasn't going to rain. Why, she didn't either. I like how she sounds very proud of that. She's like, I didn't. I mean, you know, whatever. And I never brought an umbrella when it wasn't raining. In other words, nobody had an umbrella. Let's finish this before the rain starts. Your grandma will be happy you came, I bet. Yeah. And Kagari's here today too. I can't wait to introduce my wonderful new friend to Grandma. Ocarina, let's hurry. There's a lot Mayushi wants to tell Grandma. Yeah, let's hurry. We finally arrived at the cemetery. The skies were getting darker, and it felt like it could rain at any minute. We finished cleaning the grave, and each of us put our hands together in front of us. Then Mayuri sat down and started talking to her grandma. Kagari and I watched her from a short distance away. And then Kagari came in, and she was so surprised she fell down and went bang! That's, okay. I can't say I spent much time in a cemetery in the rain personally, but cool. Hell yeah. She was really scared and really worried, but I had to go to work. So I said to Ocarina and Daru, take care of Kagari, and left the lab. But I was so worried I thought my heart was going to burst. Kabe, Kagari whispered to me, concerned. Oh, don't worry about Mayuri. That's kind of like a ritual. Also, hey Sor, how's it going? Welcome to Viperland in the chat. Why would you do that to the bot? How dare? A ritual? Yeah, she loved her grandma a lot, and when her grandma died, it was like she lost her soul. For about 6 months, she wouldn't say a word to anyone. She'd just come here and stand all day. It's like she was praying to go be with her grandma. And you brought her back, didn't you? Surprise, that's it. How did you know? Mayuri told me. That girl. Oh, come on, it's cool, Hoyoin Kyoma, the mad scientist. Stop it. I was desperate for any idea I could think of. Looking back, it was the right answer, but it was still really embarrassing. I'd used every bit of knowledge I could scrape up from anime and video games to try and keep Mayuri's soul from leaving us. It's also very weird to see, like, younger Okabe, no lab coat. Just weird. I won't let anyone take you away. Like, even in the current game where he's, like, full black emo lab coat, he still always wears the lab coat. Mayuri is my hostage. She's a sacrifice for my human experiments. There's no escaping me. Oh wait, do we get the Mamoru Miyanu laugh? Of course we do. Oh, she's your hostage. Guess I'm stuck here, huh? Yeah. Past Mayuri brought an umbrella. No, I think that's a wonderful story. Is it? It is. It started raining. Yeah, that'll happen when it looks like that out. I looked up just in time for a drop to fall on my cheek. The cold rain started to come down. Didn't think it would start so soon. What should we do? We'd just gotten here and hadn't done anything yet. I wanted to at least do a little research before we left. Let's find a place where we can get out of the rain. We can get an umbrella at the convenience store if we need them. Okay. I always forget how loud pizza is. Eat pizza. I mean, they could. If they went to a pizzeria, that would be a great way to just pass the time for the rain. It's a good answer. Mayuri, let's head back to the station for now. Huh? Wow, it's raining! She's got the big hat. She might not even notice. The rain started to come down harder as we ran towards the station. Depends on what the hat's made out of. They never really... It's just a big hat. I assume it's some sort of, like, fabric. Hat material. But I don't really know. The rain started to come down harder as we ran towards the station. She noticed now, yeah. Ah, I'm soaked. We should have brought umbrellas first, huh? We need to take a shower or we'll catch a cold. I know, Kagari, want to come to Mayushi's house? We can take a shower together. Huh? Mayuri turned around and suddenly stopped. I stopped too. I looked back and saw that Kagari wasn't keeping up with us. She was standing some distance away with a blank look on her face. She was facing us, but seemed to be staring off into the distance. Kagari, what's wrong? I can hear it. Her voice was flat and emotionless. It was like she was a different person than the one that had been there a moment before. What can you hear? A voice? I hear a voice. Kagari? Mayuri started to walk towards Kagari. I have to go. And suddenly, Kagari ran through the puddles of water and out into the street. A truck was coming. Kagari, run! Mayuri screamed, and my body moved on its own. I yanked Mayuri's shoulder down and knocked her to the ground so that she couldn't run out on her own. And then I used that momentum to run out into the street myself. Just no good times. Ocarine. Well. Ah, yes, mystery person. It could be anyone. A long time ago, the air wasn't dirty like it is now, so nobody cared if they got wet in the rain. When Mommy was your age, Kagari, she loved the rain. She ran around outside with Ocarine. When you run in the rain, it's like you're swimming in the sea. Ocarina and Mommy were fish swimming in the sea, the only two fish in the world. It was so much fun. When was that? After I'd been separated from Big Sis Suzuha in 1998, I was locked somewhere for a long time. When did I escape? Why did I escape? I wanted to see Mommy all of a sudden. That was the only reason. At the place where she was kept, Kagari was waiting for the professor to come like always when she happened to look outside and see that it was raining. When she smelled the water through the window, she remembered what her mom had said, and the next thing she knew, she'd taken off the headset she was wearing. Nobody had expected it, so escaping was easy. She ripped off the cords on her arms and used the little window to go outside, and then she'd snuck in the back of a truck that was just leaving the parking lot. The facility she'd been kept in must have been deep within the mountains. After hours of shaking, the truck finally reached a town somewhere. When the truck stopped, she jumped out and wandered in the rain, with nowhere to go. She didn't have any destination in mind. She wanted to see her mom, but didn't know where she was. And even if she did find her, her mom would have been younger than Kagari and wouldn't know who she was. She had run away from the facility on impulse, but she had no money and there was nothing she could do, except wait for the professor to come find her. Until then she wanted to get wet in the rain. The rain kept falling for a long time. Her clothes got wet, but she didn't care. It's so weird that the rain doesn't hurt. The rain in this era didn't sting when it landed on your skin. It was warm. For the first time, Kagari learned that nature could do things other than hurt you. There was life in this rain. That's how it felt to her. The rain in this era was alive. It was totally different from the dead rain of the future. Kagari kept walking, enjoying the feeling of being surrounded by living rain. How long had she walked? When her legs started to get tired, she sat down at a bench with a roof over it. It was a trolley platform. It was unmanned, without even a ticket station. She sat down and looked up at the sky. The rain was still falling. I'm sure God doesn't like this rain. He probably likes the dead rain better than the living rain. Otherwise, I can't explain why the rain in the future is dead. The dead rain sure didn't seem better than the living rain to Kagari, but there was one thing she was sure of. In the future, where Mom was, the rain was dead. When she saw Mom again, the rain would be dead. So she wasn't really mad at God. Are you lost? The boy was standing next to the bench. He was the same age as Kagari, or maybe a little younger. He was holding an umbrella, but the area below his knees was soaking wet. He must have walked in the rain for a long time. Kagari said nothing. As he sat down next to her, he looked tired and in pain. Me too. The boy talked to her in a voice that was a whisper. What he talked about, she couldn't remember, but he seemed to be in so much pain, as if he was carrying the weight of the whole world's sadness on his shoulders. Why had he talked to her when they'd never met before? Why had he decided to open up to Kagari? Strangely, it didn't bother her. She was the same. She was the same as he was. And strangely, she realized something. There were things in this world that you just couldn't change. There were things in this world where all you could do was just watch them slip through your fingers. You couldn't give up on them, but you had no choice but to give up. She felt that despair. Maybe the rain had brought the two of them together. Excuse me. There were so many people in the world, and yet the two of them had no one they could talk to. So maybe the rain had brought them together. The living rain, the warm rain, the gentle rain. Ocarina and Mommy were fish swimming in the sea, the only two fish in the world. Mommy had looked so happy when she told that story, but it sounded sad to Kagari, because the world was so big and it was just the two of them alone. It would be lonely and sad to have no one else there. That's what she thought. But now she understood how Mom felt just a little. Just two fish alone in the world. But that was different than being totally alone. No matter what else, there was someone next to you who felt the same way. It was lonely, but she was sure it wasn't that lonely. That's what she felt at the bottom of the sea of living rain. And I guess it just all comes back to the song. There was nothing Kagari could do for the boy, but she felt like he needed that song. The next thing she knew, the boy was gone. The rain's not stopping, huh? I've been looking for you. Come on, let's go. What's wrong? I have to go. She shook off the professor's hand and ran off into the street through the pouring rain. And then she saw a truck splashing up water from the puddles as it came barreling towards her. She has very bad luck with trucks. Very bad luck. Yep, always Truck-kun, huh? Also, hey Ark, how's it going? Welcome to Viperland in the chat. How you doing tonight? I'm alive? Kagari woke up and realized she was in a hospital bed. Mayuri was looking down at her with eyes swollen bright red. She didn't die, no. Ocarina, Kagari's awake! You were almost hit by a truck. You weren't hurt, but you passed out, so we called an ambulance just in case. You don't have an insurance card, so the bills are probably going to be crazy. Doesn't matter, it was the only thing we could do. I'm just glad you're safe, Kagari. Ocarina saved you at the last second. Mayushi thought you were both dead. Mayushi thought... Don't cry, Mayuri. Okay. Oh, that's right. I kind of remember. Okabe jumped out to save me. I'm sorry, I don't know what was wrong with me. Thanks. Oh, it's the best isekai death of all time. Yeah. I mean, it was meant to be a subversion of tropes, but it worked. It was great. No, I'm just glad you're safe. In a fit of emotion, Mayuri leapt on Kagari. I'm so glad, Kagari. I was really worried. No, that wasn't right. Kagari finally understood everything. That wasn't right. This wasn't Mayuri. Yes, that's right. This was Mommy. I finally get to meet you. Now it's Kagari's turn to give Mayuri a big hug. I feel like that's the correct response to your friend who is older than you suddenly hugging you and calling you mommy. I feel like that's the correct... Huh? Mommy? Kagari, no, Mayushi's not your mommy. You are. You're Kagari's mom. They definitely say mama in... Like, that's what they're saying, but... No. Also, 7, how you doing? Welcome to Viperland in the chat. Thankfully, it's a fairly straight process. We shouldn't be able to lose our way here. She couldn't stop herself from talking like a little girl. All the last 10 years vanished, and Kagari was once again a small child. Kagari, your memories are back? Uncle Ocarine? Yeah, I remember it all now. I'm Mayuri Shina's daughter. My name is Kagari. Mayuri does not remember. I mean, you know, future, time travel, shenanigans. But you're older than me, Kagari. And Mayushi's never, had a baby or anything. I'm from the future. In the future, you adopted me when I was an orphan. Mayushi did? That's right, you were the one who gave me a reason to live. You sent me to the safest place you could think of so that I wouldn't be in danger. The safest place? The past. You probably thought that if I lived in a time when Japan was at peace, I could be safe. But I still missed you. I couldn't find you here. No matter how safe it is, I didn't want to live without you. I missed you. Broken the timeline? I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, she already knew about time travel. Now she just knows she's going to adopt somebody in the future, which seems like clearly she was going to do anyway. I don't think knowing about it is really going to change anything. I hope. Kagari clung to Mayuri on the soft bed and cried for a long time. At first, Mayuri was confused, but she eventually hugged her back gently. Yeah, it works itself out, you know. Or it doesn't, and violently rejects stuff, you know, 50-50. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It must have been so hard. You must have been so lonely. You were sad for so long because of me, weren't you? Mayuri's too good. These time travel rules. Ah, fair. And that's how I, Kagari Shina, got all my memories back. The next several months were wonderful. Every day I would come to the lab and play with Mommy and her friends. They were all wonderful people. There was never a moment where something fun wasn't happening. Mommy's especially tried to spend as much time with me as possible. We'd eat together, go shopping together, or sometimes just walk around with no goal in mind. That normal life was everything I'd ever wanted. The voice I'd heard before began to vanish as I spent more time with her. Mommy always smiled, and she always seemed so happy to hear what I had to say. I was so happy. We had a lot of sleepovers too, at the lab, at Mommy's house, at Luca's house. We'd stay up late eating snacks and talking, and then I'd sleep in the same futon as Mommy. We'd both whisper that song that she told me brought us together. And it did. When I was little, Mommy taught me the song, and she learned it from Big Sis Suzuha. And Big Sis Suzuha learned it from Yuki. And Yuki learned it from Uncle Okarine's mom. And Uncle Okarine's mom learned it from Uncle Okarine. And I didn't know for sure. But if that was true, it was wonderful. Worked too? Yeah, fair enough. I talked about it a lot more with Mommy. And about school, about the lab, about Uncle Okarine, about the future, about love, about all kinds of things. One day, she said this to me. Hey, Kagari? Mayushi had an idea. Maybe the song is a song to make the person you love feel better. They lost their most important treasure, and they got so sad they finally just went to sleep. No matter how much you shake them, they won't wake up. That's how sad they are. But that treasure isn't really gone. It's actually so close they could reach out and touch it. But they don't realize it's so close. All they do is sleep. But really, you know, they're waiting for someone to wake them up. Because that person is right next to them. They're not gone at all. I don't know when, but I know that someday they'll wake up. That's what I think that song is. And Mommy looked up at me and smiled. Her eyes seemed so clear and calm as she gazed at the moonlight coming in through the curtains. It was the first time I'd seen such a pretty color. But when I thought back, I'd actually seen it once before. That day. That rainy day when I got my memories back. She had the same look in her eyes when she held me. She kept saying the same thing. I'm sorry. Sorry, Kagari. I thought that she was apologizing for what she'd done in the future. I thought that she was apologizing for leaving me all alone, but she wasn't. That apology was only from the Mayuri Shina who lived in 2011. She was saying that she was sorry for leaving me alone. It was about half a year later when I realized this. July 7th, 2011. The day of Tanabata. To tell the truth, I had known it was coming. I wonder why Mommy wanted me to come here. Maybe she's thinking of a surprise? Kagari whispered as if she wanted it to be true. Today was July 7th, Tanabata. The lab was going to have a Tanabata party with the Tenochi family on the roof of the building. It was essentially an excuse to hold a barbecue. Honestly, any excuse for a barbecue is a good excuse. The sky was clear that day, so the night stars were sure to be pretty. I have to get back and keep getting ready, with Mommy's help, of course. I knew it was coming. I knew what this meant. I knew, but I pretended I didn't. I didn't want to come here. I didn't want to see this. I wanted to look away. I took one step after another towards the roof. Need to hurry. Mommy's waiting. Why now? Mommy? When I opened the door, I was met with a burst of warm wind in the gentle summer twilight. The stars could already be seen twinkling in the evening sky. Mayuri was there. She was standing right next to the time machine. She had one hand on her head to keep the wind from blowing away her hat, and another reached out towards the sky. Her open hand stretched straight up towards the Akihabara sky, as if she was trying to grab the brightest star. Her eyes seemed to look past the stars towards something beyond. It was so pretty, so ephemeral, and so fragile.
Mama.
Kagari couldn't stop herself from crying out. It felt like if she didn't stop her, the stars would take her mother away. Oh, Kagari! Tuturu!
Mama.
The tension started to drain from Kagari's body. Good. Mommy was acting normal now. There was nothing to worry about. Mommy would never leave her, ever. When Kagari ran over, Mayuri lowered the hand that she'd reached out towards the sky. What's wrong? Why did you want me to come here? Mayuri smiled, slightly embarrassed, and spun the other way. And then she looked up at the time machine. This is what you came here in, isn't it, Kagari? Why bring that up? It's not something I... Her words caught in her throat. She realized that the time machine's hatch was open. Why? Why is the time machine's hatch open? And then someone appeared from within the time machine. Why are you? That's what I want to know. What are you two doing? Big Sis Mayu, you promised you'd keep it a secret from Kagari. I'm sorry I didn't tell you, Suzu. Mayushi wanted to say goodbye to Kagari no matter what. It'll be done soon, so keep getting ready. Okay, once you're done, get in. Suzu had disappeared back inside the time machine. A secret? Goodbye? Getting ready? What are you two talking about? I don't understand. She did understand. She'd known exactly what was coming since she got the message from her mother, but she didn't want to accept it. She didn't want to accept that the time machine was going to tear her away from her mother again. Listen, Mayushi is about to go back into the past with Suzu, so that person she loves can wake up. It's impossible. The world lines are going to converge. No matter how hard you try, you can't change them. No one can. You're right. Mayushi can't change them. Then... But... You know Ocarine can. Ocarine has the power to change the future. And even Mayushi can go back to that day and give him a little push. That day is our only chance. It won't work. Kagari grabbed Mayuri's arms, but she just smiled sadly. Even if it doesn't, Mayushi wants to see him again. Hoyoin Kyoma. I want to see my Hikoboshi? I don't know if they said that one again. But she knew that this was coming. Ever since the day she got her memories back, Kagari's life had been truly happy. She'd lived every day in a peaceful Japan with no war and with Mayuri and the rest of the lab. Every day shone like a jewel, and she thought it would last forever. But she'd known what that look in Mayuri's eyes had meant. She'd known why even when everyone was having fun, Mayuri always seemed kinda sad. What about me? What happens to me? If Uncle Ocarine does reach Steins Gate, maybe the war won't happen. Maybe a lot of people will be saved, but then I won't be able to meet you. That's not true. No matter what the future holds, I'm going to meet you. In that world, you might not be alone. You might have a happy life with your real mom and dad. But even if you do, I'll still come see you. And then we can be really, really, really good friends. So you don't need to worry about a thing. You and I might forget about each other. How can you come find me if you don't remember me? It's impossible. Nope, Mayushi will know who you are. How? How can you be sure? Because that's fate. The bonds between Mayushi and Kagari won't be broken by anything. Because she knows all, clearly. So even if we lose our memories, Mayushi will come find you. Tears like pearls fell from Mayuri's eyes, but she kept smiling at Kagari anyway. And for the first time, Kagari realized how strong Mayuri Shina really was. She realized, even if Mayuri didn't, how tough and strong her will was. This girl, who seemed so small and fragile, believed in the power of the future more than anyone in the world. Okay, I'm going to go. Mayuri was about to get into the time machine. She could see Mayuri's legs shaking with each step on the ladder she took. She couldn't let this happen. It would just end up like that day in 2036. Kagari couldn't take that anymore. Wait. Kagari clung to Mayuri's body. I won't let you go to the past. I'll go instead. Kagari grabbed the phone that Mayuri was holding and then pulled down on her hard. Mayuri lost her balance and fell off the ladder. And Kagari leapt inside. Kagari, are you crazy? Kagari ignored her and leaned out of the hatch to smile down at Mayuri. I'll take care of Uncle Ocarine, so just wait there. Ixis Suzuha, close the hatch. You're sure? Yeah. Alright. The hatch started to close. Mayuri was staring up at Kagari in shock. I'll always love you. The Steins Gate games have made me say "mommy" more times than any other time in my life, and "nya." Those are the two things. More than anything else. It said phone, but I imagine it was like the phone, or the hand holding the phone. I imagine she just basically grabbed her hand and yanked her off. I could be mistaken, but that's what I'm getting out of it. She was already kind of unsteady. I don't think it would have taken too much to pretty much just pull her down. In the past, in the present, and in the future. And then the hatch closed. She couldn't see her beloved mother anymore. She wiped away the tears, sat down in the passenger seat, and strapped herself in. Suzuha sat in the main seat and grinned. Didn't think I'd be doing this with you twice. We've just gone back the first time is all. Gone back to the first time is all. This is nothing like the first time. You were sobbing like a baby then. You were crying a little too, big sis Suzuha. Alright. Let's go, Kagari. To the past. Okay. Suzuha tapped at the console and the whole seat started to shake. At the same time, a pale light began to shine from within the machine. The time travel was beginning. There was no guarantee it would work. She might never see Mayuri again, but she swore that she would make this succeed. As the daughter of Mayuri Shina. You know, every time they do a song, it's just a good time to take a sip of a drink. No matter how far apart they were, that song would connect them together. That's another ending crossed off the list. Now we gotta go back to... Oh, they got a full version. I don't remember them having a full version of it. It's been forever since I first played it. That's 3. Yep. Technically 2 more, technically 3 more, but like the true ending happens after the 5th ending. It has to be that ending. It doesn't matter what order you do them in, but it always comes after a specific ending, so we're just doing that one last. So 5 or 6 total, depending on how you count it. But we're making that progress. I don't remember how long the other endings are. I feel like this one was short, but I feel like getting to it, like the ending itself was short from the split, but getting to that split took a while. Basically all of last stream was just getting to the split. And then a little extra. So, we will heckin' figure it out. Again, all I've got here is just a simple, like, this is the date to make a save. Pick this. It's usually just like answer phone or do not answer phone. Like, that's it. That's this date, do this. Like, literally all it says for the route we're about to take is go back to point D, this time answer the phone. That's it. That's it. Truck. Yeah. Mm-hmm. At least it didn't get isekai this time. Recursive Mother Goose completed. New item opened by CG Library. New wallpaper. Oh, I keep forgetting to check those. We got new wallpapers on the phones. Yeah, they block this entire game. Alright, so we continue from point D, which was this one. There was no save at point B, so it's just A, C, D. And this time, we answer the phone. Yeah, I'd like to... There you go. Next moment after the phone, I pressed against Kagari's head, stopped ringing. The world changed. Don't even get to see the number. I was inside a deep black darkness. You dumb and only have one save? You can always just start from the beginning and just hold the skip button until it gets to one of the triggers. It'll automatically stop whenever like a phone trigger goes off. Or when, because the skip function works correctly in this game, it'll stop when there's anything you haven't read before comes up. It's really just a little more time consuming. You just start from the beginning or whatever earlier save and just power through till you get to one of those split points. There was no sound, no temperature, just darkness, cold, and silence. No one was here. I didn't even know if I was asleep or awake. There was nothing but a vague sense of presence. Nothingness. Nothingness spread out to infinity. Yeah, it's the way it should work, and it's the way it was supposed to work in Robotic Snow. It just didn't. Huh? What was I doing? Wasn't I... Hey, Okabe, if you keep lying there, you'll catch a cold. Huh? I turned towards the voice. Standing there, next to the open curtains of the development room was... What? Oh, there you are, Krisu. Yeah, again, I think it was just a bug in that one. Like, it's always supposed to work that way. That's like skip and then force skip. Force skip forces it even if you've read it. It's just like, I don't care, I just want the platinum in the fastest rate possible. I don't know anybody would want to force skip, but it's there. Or, the only reason I can think why somebody would want to force skip is if they've already played the game on like a separate save file or a separate system or something, but didn't finish it and wanted to catch up to that point. That's the only reason I can think of, but it's usually there. What do you mean, there you are? I've been here the whole time. Have you? Yep. Yesterday and the day before. I've been here a long time. It did seem that way, come to think of it. My head seemed like it was full of fuzz. But I wasn't sleepy or tired or anything like that. My mind was very awake. Something was missing. Something important. Hey, where are Daru and Mayuri? Are you really okay? Did something happen to you? What do you mean? Ashida and Mayuri are right there, look. Huh? Yep, right there. How could you miss somebody as big as me, Ocarine? That's a good question. Oh, that's right. Daru and Mayuri were always here, weren't they? No, it wasn't just them. Kilma, you doing okay, Nya? I'll use my kitty charms to make you feel better, Nyan. He's a large man. I'm waiting for the day they make a Daru Nendo. Because, like, of the four, like, most important, protagonists of this game, I've got the Nendos for Okabe, Mayuri, Krisu. Daru is a very important character. They just haven't made a Nendo for him, and I don't know how they would anyway, but they gotta do it. They gotta. Like, these two are great. I love these two as characters, but they're not super core important to the lab. Like, they're important to the overarching story, they are important characters, they're great, but like, you gotta have those four, and they just don't make a Daru an android. It doesn't exist. Kilma, if there's anything I can do to make you feel better, just tell me. Ferris and Lukako too. And I'll make you a special juice from the edible grasses I found in this area, Printer Okabe. I'm here too, Okabe. I didn't notice this my first time playing through this game. Or if I did, I didn't commit it to memory. I like that not only is this supposed to feel jarring and weird, but they accomplish it by using the character sprites from the first game, not the new game. All these sprites are from the original game, not Steins Gate Zero. To really hammer home, like, wait, no, this is wrong. There's something off here. Suzuha and Moeka. All of the lab mems were in the lab, like they always were. That's right. This was my daily life. This is how I spent every day. It appears everyone has arrived with some Dr. Pepper. Therefore, we shall now begin the 65,336th round table. Are you ready? You're always so loud. And you need to wipe that self-satisfied expression right off your face, assistant. I keep telling you, I'm not your assistant. Ocarina and Krisu are always such good friends. You're the perfect couple. Now go explode. Wait, Hashira, I'm not in a relationship with this guy. They say the closer you are, the more you fight, yeah? I'm jealous. You should join in the fun, Urashibara. What? I couldn't. I just couldn't. Fun. Stop wasting time, guys. We're starting the meeting. So, what are we talking about today? What else? Our topic for today is... What? Our topic... Okabe? Something was wrong. Ocarine? Everything seemed the same, but... What's wrong, Ocarine? That's right, it was cold. Kyoma? I didn't feel it. No emotions. No warmth. Everyone was here, but it was cold and dark. Cold. Cold. Cold, 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 cold. Cold, 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 cold. It was so cold that it felt like the marrow in my bones was going to freeze. Like my bones were made of ice. Like all the blood in my body had been replaced with mercury. It was cold. It felt like I was going to freeze at any moment. What was this? Where was this place? Where was I? Where was I? What was I doing? I tried to speak, but the words didn't come out. It looked like I was lying in a bed, and a very hard one at that. Excuse me. I slowly looked around. It wasn't the lab, and it wasn't my room. The room was old and gloomy. Of course, I'd never seen it before. What was I doing here? There was a terrible pain in my head, like someone had jammed an electrode into my brain. I tried to raise my hand as I lay there, but it was too heavy. It was like all the joints in my body had frozen. You know it, we get nothing but happy times. It took all my strength to slowly sit up. Each time I moved a little, my muscles screamed and pain ran through my whole body. After several minutes, I finally succeeded in sitting on the edge of the bed and looking down. I realized I was wearing a white gown like hospital patients wear. There was some kind of equipment on my head, and the cables coming out of it were connected to a strange machine. What had happened to me? Just a moment ago I was... That's right, Kagari. Krisu's memories had been downloaded into Kagari's head. We tried to erase them by overwriting them with Kagari's own memories, and then... That's right, I remembered now. The world line had shifted right after that. What had happened then? I tried to remember, but it was like my mind was filled with fog. For now, I needed to figure out where I was. I took off the headgear and got out of the bed. And collapsed. This didn't make sense. Was I just dizzy after all that was going on in my head? I tried to stand up again. And I couldn't get any strength in my legs. I kept standing up and falling over, and in the end I was only able to get up by grabbing the side of the bed. How could standing on my own 2 feet be so exhausting? Was I sick with some kind of terrible disease? Then maybe I'd been in bed for several days? I somehow managed to drag my weak legs to the door. It was bizarrely heavy. Or maybe it just seemed that way to me? It only opened after I put my full weight on it. The door was locked, but it seemed to be the kind that could be opened from the inside. I walked down the dark hallway, leaning up against the wall for support. At the end of the hall were stairs. I clung to the railing and slowly walked up them. At the end of the stairs I found a hatch. Using the full strength of my back, I was just barely able to get it open. I was inside an old building. I walked down the crumbling hallway, still clueless as to what was going on, and finally found the door to the outside. Exhausted, I staggered outside. And I saw... mountains of shattered rubble. What the heck? Rows of destroyed abandoned buildings. Exposed twisted steel girders. At first I thought it was a movie set, but it was all far too realistic for that. The walls, the windows, the ceilings, everything was destroyed. Little bits of rubble covered the ground. There were cracks in the asphalt on the road, making it impossible to walk straight. It wasn't just directly in front of me. I spun around a full 360 degrees and saw the same scene everywhere. I smelled oil. I smelled something burning. I looked up to the sky. It was dark and gloomy. I thought it might just be cloudy, but something else seemed to be going on. I could see the hazy outline of the sun beyond the black curtain that covered the sky. A violent pain in my throat made me cough. Quickly covered my mouth with the sleeve of my gown. My eyes stung. I tried once more to calm down and see if I could remember what happened, but I had no luck. All I knew for sure was that there had been a world line shift when I deleted Krisu's memories from inside Kagari. The memories held by the Amadeus Krisu, and the memories implanted in Kagari. Maybe when whoever owned them changed, that is, whoever held Krisu's time machine theory, the world line changed with it? And this was another altered world line, which meant that what I was seeing was... I saw what looked like an ash-covered stick poking out of the ground in the corner of my eye. I slowly went to take a closer look. It was sticking out of the rubble, and at the tip it split into 5 smaller branches. It was a hand. It was a human hand that had been scorched pitch black. A terrible feeling came rising out of my stomach. Suddenly, I thought I saw something move. Someone was there. Where? I listened carefully to try and pick them out. The other side of that big building. I could hear some kind of sound from over there. Was someone there? If there was, maybe they could tell me what the hell was going on. Trying my best not to make any sound, I peeked through the walls of the crumbling building. They were there, all right. There were people there, lots of them, but they weren't people anymore. They were just human-shaped wads of meat, piled up into a mountain, and on top of the mountain was a pack of dogs. Something long and slick was hanging out of the dogs' mouths. Intestines. They were eating them. They were eating the bodies. The stench was horrible. The sound of the flies was overwhelming. It was like something out of hell. My gaze met the vacant eyes of one of the bodies. One of its eyes fell out, and black insects crawled out of the empty socket. You can't catch a single break. Not a one. I ran away. Ran as fast as I could, stumbling forward on failing legs. Somewhere. Was there somewhere around here that was sane? But no matter how far I went, it was the same thing. Mountains of rubble. Rows of abandoned buildings. All I could see were the dead. There were no living humans. And then I found it. There were rows of huge buildings which all looked as if they were about to fall over. The roads were full of cracks. There was a warped overpass sticking out of the ground. A few rows of iron and railroad ties. I knew it. I knew this place. It was only a shadow of its former self, but I knew it. This was Akihabara, which meant... What happened to the lab? Where was Mayuri? Where was Daru? Where was Ferris? What about Lukuko or Suzaha? What happened to Maho and Kagari? Just as I ran towards the lab to find out, I heard footsteps behind me. Rough footsteps, stomping over the rubble, more than one set. They got louder and louder, and soon I saw them coming towards me from between the crumbling buildings. This is the timeline. There were 3 of them. They each had assault rifles in their hands. You, what are you doing there? When they saw me, they all pointed their guns at me. Still blame Taku? Oh, yeah, for sure. There was so much I wanted to ask them. There were things I wanted to know, but the only thought that came to me was that I needed to get away. But even as I tried to turn and run, my body refused to listen. Don't move! They must have sensed that I was about to flee, because one of them yelled. Holes appeared in the concrete at my feet. They'd shot at me. They really shot at me. They'd shot at me with real guns. If I'd just been a little closer, they would have hit me. I was too scared to stand. The men got closer, still holding the guns. Run. You have to run. It was like my body belonged to someone else. It wasn't listening to me. The men kept getting closer, and then there was another sharp noise. One of the men collapsed to the side. He hit his head on the rubble and stopped moving. Huh? The other two waved their guns around, clearly confused as to what just happened. You're in the way. Something dragged me to the ground. And then more gunshots. The two of them fell backwards, still holding their weapons at almost the exact same time. They died. Right in front of me. Someone had died. I could do nothing more than sit there and watch as a silhouette moved in front of me. Are you trying to get killed? I looked up, and the person I saw was Suzuha? Come on, how long are you just gonna sit there? Did you kill them? What kind of stupid question is that? It was a colder voice than I'd ever heard. You're Suzuha, right? Her iron mask of an expression suddenly changed to surprise. That was only for a moment. A second later, and the fierceness had returned. Who are you? Did she really not? You don't know who I am? Did the change in the world line mean that Suzuha and I had never met? It's me, Okabe. Wintaro Okabe. The expression on her face changed again. Wintaro Okabe? That's impossible. Two pairs of icy footsteps sounded in the darkness. This way. After I'd given my name, Suzuha had stared at me suspiciously for a moment. Then she'd made some kind of call and told me to come with her. She made me wear a blindfold almost the entire time, though, so I had no idea which way I'd gone or where I was. Stop. I did as she said. When I heard the knock, I finally realized we were in front of a door. Moe moe for you. Bakyun-kyun. It's a very Daru password system. It's a very Daru password system. Come in. Evidently, that was the password. I could only think of one man who'd choose such a stupid password. I heard the sound of a heavily locked door opening, and at last I saw a dimly lit room in the darkness. The room was piled high with what looked like mechanical junk. Rows of instruments lined the walls. A man was sitting in front of them, looking straight at me. I'm so glad. You're finally awake, Okarin. Who was this guy? How did he know my name? He must have been in his mid-40s. He was a big, broad-shouldered man with a stubby face. There was a sharp but gentle light in his eyes. I felt like I'd seen him somewhere before. Who are you? Oh, jeez, did you forget about me? Even after all that's happened, that still hurts, Okarin. He's still wearing the same hat. He just put on a lab coat. I mean, his face is older, but the way he talked, and that voice. There was only one person it could be, but that was... Are you Daru? The man's face broke into a broad smile. Good, you did remember. I thought you'd forgotten. Daru, is it really you? Who else do you know that's as handsome as me, right, Suzuha? I might admit that, if you lost a little weight. He actually has, apparently. Don't say that. I've lost a lot since I was younger. Yeah, he has. Indeed, the Daru in front of me was quite a bit slimmer than the Daru I know. And wait, Dad, why are you talking funny? I don't usually talk like this, but I figured it would make things easier for Okarin. The more pressing issue, though, was his age. He was clearly a middle-aged man. The youngest I could possibly imagine him to be was early 40s. Then I saw a shelf in the corner. I saw a man I didn't know reflected in its glass. It was another man like him, in his 40s. He was staring at me with a gloomy, sunken face. I slowly raised my right hand, and the man raised his left as if copying me. Daru, tell me something. Anything you want, man. What year is it? Daru's smile quickly became something more serious as he answered me. It's 2036. The world is at war. Daru gave me all the details. Then this really is the year 2036. That's right. It seemed unbelievable, but Daru's appearance and, more than anything, my own, made it undeniable. 2036. Suzuha had said that World War III would start sometime in the next 10 years. 5.7 billion people would die, and the population of Tokyo would drop to a tenth of what it once was. After that, the Third World War itself would end, but the chaos would continue, and even in Japan, no, everywhere around the world, battles would continue. Was that what I'd just seen? But why don't I remember any of this? All my memories were of 2011. I had no memories of the past 25 years. My last memory was of erasing Krisu's memories from Kagari's head. And Suzuha told me that I would die in 2025. Why am I alive? I want to know that too, Dad. Suzuha chimed in. We were all told Uncle Okarin died 10 years ago. Suzuha leaned over him. What's going on here, Dad? Did you lie to all of us? Calm down, Suzuha. I'll explain. Daru looked at me as if he was remembering old times, and then resumed his explanation. Okarin, you said you've only got memories up to halfway through January 2011, right? Yeah. The world line changed in January 2011. That's all I remember. I'd gotten 25 years older without realizing it. That fact was starting to eat away at me. Maybe there's some problem with your body, or maybe you're just confused? You should have memories up to the end of January 2011. Or, yeah, 2011. The end? Why the end of the month? It was the end of the month when Mahotan saved your memory data. Yacho saved my memories? I guess you told Mahotan to take memory samples from you to help with the Amadeus research, right? I volunteered for Amadeus? And then I realized something incredible. Which means that inside my brain... Yep, just like you guessed, your memories are the ones that were digitized in 2011. Digitized memories inside my head. Wait, Dad, I don't understand what's going on. How is Uncle Ocarina alive anyway? You told me he died in 2025, right? He did. For all intents and purposes, anyway. For all intents and purposes? That was when the race to make the time machine was at its peak. Everybody in the world wanted the paper that Krisu, or Makase Krisu, had written, and her memories. But at the time, Stratfor had everything that she'd left behind. Stratfor. But even if they had it, they couldn't read it. They couldn't break the lock, you see. By the way, I was the one who built that lock in 2010. So they decided to capture someone who knew her well and get information from them. And that was me. They did everything they could think of to try and get information about Makase Krisu out of you. When we rescued you, your mind was shattered. You'd lost the ability to ever survive on your own. You were as good as dead, and there was no chance you'd get better. Then his body was alive? That's right. Okarin himself had given me the idea. He was starting to get worried about how they were after him. But you could have at least told me, right? You know what they say, right? To deceive your foes, first deceive your friends. But Suzuha seemed a little depressed. Must have come as a shock that her dad didn't trust her. Don't be like that, Suzuha. Only a very few people in Valkyrie knew about this. I knew the name Valkyrie. Suzuha had talked about it a lot in 2010. It was the name of Daru and Suzuha's resistance organization, an armed group of irregular fighters who oppose the government or the members of that group. The difference between a resistance fighter and terrorist is a very slim one. Let's move on. Okarin's mind was shattered, and he was incapable of surviving if we didn't do something. Even his body would have died. So, a few people who knew the truth had been watching over him for years in another facility. From 2025 to 2036, 11 years without letting anyone find out? You needed nutrients to keep your body alive. And since I was in a bed that whole time, my joints would have gotten stiff, and friction against the bed would have caused my skin to split open. Someone had watched over me the whole time to keep that from happening. Was it Mayuri? Not just Mayushi. Ferris-tan and Lukashi and Mahotan too. They were alive. Mayuri, Ferris, and Lukako. Even in this terrifying world, they were still alive and still looking after me. They had been for years. Hey, Daru. Why did I wake up now? My memories had been digitized in 2011. If they'd known those memories existed, they could have downloaded them into me a lot earlier, right? That's easy to explain. Until just a little while ago, we didn't know where they were. Actually, Stratfor had been holding on to your and Kreese's memory data the entire time. We just didn't know where it was. I found it 2 weeks ago. Want to guess where it was? It'll shock you. Where? Right next to us the whole time. It was at our college. No way, Tokyo Denki? They had a base in the basement. Not that there's much of anything left there now. Stratfor had a base on the basement of Tokyo Denki? So, 2 weeks ago, we managed to salvage your memory data and download it into your brain. But for the next 10 days, I hadn't woken up. And just as they were about to give up, I'd finally awoken. After 25 years. 25 years. I stared at my hands. They were so thin I could almost see the bone, and I could see veins popping out of them. The face reflected in the glass was unhealthy and wrinkled. My hair was starting to turn white too. So, I woke up after 25 years. Just like Urashima Taro. I can understand that it'll take you a while to process it. Of course, it was a shock. But the most shocking thing was... These memories were once the data, huh? My memories since I was a kid. My memories of that summer. My memories with Krisu. All of them had been transformed into zeros and ones. Could you still say that I was a person? Could I still be called human? But it's the same as Maki say she's time leap technology, right? You went through that a bunch of times, didn't you? He was right. But even if I knew it in my head, it still felt strange. I'd been cut off from 25 years of time. It had all been forgotten and left behind in a digital world. Felt like it had been stolen from me. Well, it had been from Stratfor, but yeah. Still can't accept this. Oh, don't say that, Suzuha. You're lucky, Dad. You managed to deceive the whole world that way. I didn't have a choice. Deceived, huh? I'd been deceived too. I'd been told I was fated to die in 2025, and that even in the Beta World line that wouldn't change. But no matter how it had happened, I was alive right now. Even in the past, I'd been deceived by the future. And it wasn't just me. Suzuha and everyone else, the whole world had been deceived. Yeah, a lot of just gone time, the world was deceived. Vapor, oh, yeah, right. And then there was a knock on the outside of the door. There was a visitor, it seemed. Suzuha got close to the door. Moe moe for you. Bakyun-kyun. After hearing the world's most ridiculous password, Suzuha unlocked the door. It opened, and a young girl came in. Uncle Daru, big sis Suzuha. Tutu. Of course he would do it too. Kagari, I told you not to come here unless you had a reason. Well, I mean, Suzu's the age she should be. This is the time she came from, like... This is her at the age we've known her at, but in her normal time. We didn't know her in her normal time. This is 2036, the year she came from. Kagari, this child was the young Kagari? Sorry, but Mommy and everybody else left and they haven't come back. Now, don't get so mad. You're spoiling her again, Dad. You need to be strict at times like this. The way they interacted hadn't changed in 25 years. I ignored them and looked at Kagari. And she seemed to notice me too. Hello. Hello. Who are you, mister? Me? I know. I'm a friend of your mother's. I hesitated for a moment, but decided not to give her my name. A friend of Mommy Mayu's? Or Mayuri's? Yeah, that's right. Is your mommy nice? Yep. Do you like her? Yep, I love her. I see. I could see the love she felt for her mother radiating from her face. Mayuri must have raised her with a lot of love, too. She'd been raised with everything Mayuri could give her. But after this, she was going to go to the past. She would be all alone in the past, separated from her beloved Mayuri. And then they would catch her and use her as a test subject. Hey, Dad, did you tell Big Sis Mayu that Uncle was up? Oh, no, I forgot. I need to do that. He took out what looked like a small wireless radio. This is barrel tighter. Come in. This is barrel tighter. This is Stardust Handshake. Over. Of course, that would be her call sign. The voice I heard from the speaker was definitely Mayuri's. It felt a lot calmer than what I was used to, but it was definitely Mayuri. Wait, what was Stardust Handshake? Oh, Kagari, you're with Uncle Daru? Yup. He's busy with something important, so don't bug him too much, okay? Anyway, Mayushi, I've got special news for you. Special news? Yup, you ready for this? Okarin's awake. Really? Okarin's really... What's wrong, Mayushi? Okarin's... Did Okabe wake up? Really? Okarin's awake, Nya? As if we couldn't know who that was. I heard one voice anew after another coming from the radio. I like how 25 years have passed. The Nyas have not stopped. The Nyas are a part of her. Voices didn't seem to have changed all that much. So, I want you three to come back right now. Mayushi? What's wrong? Mayushi? It's no good. She's crying too much to talk. Well, I can see why. She wanted Okarin back more than anyone. Mayuri. Anyway, you should get back here as soon as possible. Got it. We'll come back as soon as we get provisions. Everyone else was overjoyed, but I saw that Suzuha's expression was clouded. What's wrong, Suzuha? Why are you guys going out to get food? That wasn't planned for today. Huh? Sure it was. We got a message last night that it was today. No, it's a trap. Everyone get back here now. A scream from the speaker cut her off. 25, yep. What's wrong? What happened? We're under attack. The enemy... Damn it. Mayuri, Ferris, run! I'll hold them off. But if we do that, I'll be fine. Hurry. Look in the eye. Right. Suzuha started running and Daru followed after. Wait, Daru! I'm going too. But Okarin, in your condition, let me go, please. He hesitated for a moment, but then quickly nodded and offered me a shoulder. Oh, always happy times, huh? He was a little thinner than when he was younger, but his shoulder was still gigantic. I put my weight on it as we followed Suzuha. When we finally got there, I saw several silhouettes. I'd been mentally preparing myself for a fierce battle, but the whole place was dead quiet. There were several men dressed like soldiers lying on the ground nearby. In front of them was Suzuha. Kneeling next to her were two women, and at their feet... I could tell at a glance. The person lying there was Lukako. The two women looked up at me. Okarin, look in the eyes. Mayuri and Ferris both seemed beaten down by the passage of time. His features had grown more gallant, but his face was still soft and feminine. Lukako looked at me with hazy eyes. Is it really you, Okabe? Yeah, Lukako, it's me. Yeah, you called me Lukako. It really is you. A single trail of blood dripped from Lukako's mouth. His outfit was stained with blood over his right breast, and the blood dripped over into the ground. I knew immediately that the wound was fatal. I'm glad all I just heard was true. Yeah, thanks to you I was able to wake up. Thank you. Yeah. Lukako's hand reached up towards the sky as if he was looking for something. Maybe he couldn't even see me anymore. When I grabbed his hand, it was very cold. Okabe? What is it? I did it. Yeah. Thanks to the Senshin Zanma school you taught me, I was able to protect Mayuri and everyone else. Yeah. I'm one of you guys now, right? I'm really one of you now, aren't I? Idiot, you were always one of us. Lukako reached out a cold hand and touched my cheek, and smiled a dazzling smile. That makes me happy. That's all he said, and then the touch of my cheek disappeared. The cold hand fell to the rubble-covered ground and never moved again. How could this happen? I'm glad. Lukako always wanted to see Okarin. I'm glad I got to see him in the end. Glad? She was glad? After this? Mayuri's words made me realize how hellish the last 25 years I'd slept through must have been. Luka Urashibara, you fought splendidly. You saved us. Please rest in peace. This is just It's not fair. Where's Mayushi? She cried herself out and went to sleep. I can understand that. She and Lukashi were good friends. Brother Luka. Lukako was dead. He died protecting Mayuri and Ferris. In my mind, his death overlapped with Mayuri's. Mayuri's hands got colder, and so did Lukako's. It was the same no matter where I went. Mayuri, Lukako, and Krisu. Everyone dies. A lot of people died after that war started. All our friends from elementary school, all our friends from middle and high school, all our friends from college. Our relatives, our teachers, people we knew, kids, adults, even the people we loved. So many people died. I knew this was coming, at least I thought I knew. If I didn't reach Steins Gate, if I stayed in the Beta World line, the world would eventually burn. I'd heard it 1,000 times, and I thought I knew what the future would be like. But in the end, it was just a story about the distant future. It didn't feel real at all. I could only imagine it. All I had were vague, unrealistic ideas. All the thousands of nightmares I'd experienced, I'd thought nothing could be worse than that. But when I saw it with my own eyes, heard it with my own ears, and felt it with my own skin, I realized that everything I thought was wrong. Piles of bodies, wild dogs devouring human corpses, dead soldiers, the smell of burning flesh, the smell of rotting organs. The warmth of Lukako's blood in my hands. The warmth of Mayuri's blood. The warmth of Krisu's blood. I thought that if nothing else, I'd managed to save Mayuri. I'd let Krisu die, turned my eyes away from reality, and told myself that at least I'd saved Mayuri and the others. But in the end, I hadn't saved anyone. Even if I had, I'd only saved myself. I was the only person I'd managed to save. No one else. Not Krisu. Not Mayuri. Not Kagari. Not Lukako. I hadn't saved anyone. I mean, Daru's doing okay. Release Krisu from the bonds of Amadeus. Huh? A message from you in the year 2025. A message from myself. The path to Steins Gate is a hard one. Trying again once or twice probably won't get you there. But I think starting there is the best way to get to it. I think that many futures are connected to the past. That's what you said 11 years ago. Release Krisu. So this world we're in isn't wasted. It's a world that we need. At least, that's what I think. Of course, that doesn't mean I'm okay with things as they are. So, Ocarine, why not go back and think about it? To the moment when your memory is cut off. To 2011, but that's not... I could see my aged body in the glass. And anyway, even if I did go back, what could I do? You can do it. I heard a voice I recognized from the radio. It's been a while, Okabe. 11 years, I think. Gajo, look in the back of the room. As if he'd known what she was going to say, Daru had moved to a spot in the back of the room where the lights didn't reach. Suddenly it got brighter and I saw... a phone wave? I made this after hearing about it from you and Hashida. See? It's got a VR headset too. Got a lift already too. I thought this might happen. Daru went on to explain that for the last 11 years, he'd maintained an environment where I could receive the time leap, even in a coma. That made sense. Even if I was in a coma, as long as they put the receiver up to my head, it would still function. Mayuri and the others had taken care of my body since 2025, so Daru and Maho had known that this day would come 11 years ago? Or maybe I told them so, back in 2025. Our improvements means that it's now possible to go back in time 336 hours. 2 weeks? But that will only get you part of the way back. We made the modifications to the machine about 10 years ago, so beyond that you'll only be able to go 48 hours at a time. In other words, if I wanted to go back to the end of January 2011, I need about 3,000 time leaps. It's going to be a long and painful journey, but if you're still up for it... Almost 3,000 time leaps. Was I really capable of something like that anymore? If you get tired, you can rest part way. Don't worry, no matter what year it is, we'll always be with you. You know, I've got a lot of regrets. Thanks to Amadeus, even after her death, a lot of people tried to use her for evil. For years, for decades. So I want your help too. Release her. Release Krisu from that ugly spiral of greed. Save Krisu. You're the only one who can. I didn't know if I could do it anymore. There was no guarantee that the path I was about to travel would ever lead to Steins Gate. But even so... Maybe I should think it over again. What could I do? What should I do? Alright guys, I'm in. Always okie dokie. Only 3,000, yeah. As soon as the words were out of his mouth, he started getting ready. If you ever see Krisu, tell her that in the future, I beat her time leap record 7 times over. Got it. If I ever saw Krisu, Ocarina, I'm all set. That was fast. I've always kept it maintained. I figured you would. I bet. The phone wave and the VR headset. They looked a little different than what I'd seen in the old lab, but they were still our future gadgets. Oh, but are you sure you don't want to talk to Big Sis Mayu and the others? If I don't go now, I think my resolve's going to weaken. And even if I don't see them now, I'll be able to see them whenever I want in the past. That's right. Daru smiled as I took the VR headset out of his hand and put it on my head. Alright, see you 2 weeks ago. Yeah, see you 2 weeks ago. Hang in there. And then, I jumped back into the past once more. Took a long, long time. The journey was unimaginably long. I looked at the phone I was holding in my hand. The date read January 31st, 2011. No doubt about it. I was back. I'd finally made it back. I'd gone back through so many years. I'd done thousands of time leaps. Gone through the war. I'd almost died. I thought of giving up a bunch of times, but each time I remembered it all. That ruined world, the piles of corpses, the screams, the shouting, the dripping blood, and Daru and Maho and how they'd sent me off. After a long, long, unimaginably long time, I'd finally made it back to this time. Ocarina, did you get some bad news or something? Huh? You've been kind of spacing out since you picked up the phone. No, that's not it. That's not it. Ayuri was here. Are you still thinking about New Year's, Myobe? Ferris was here. Get a hold of yourself, man. And Daru, and Lukako, and Suzuha, and... Maho and Kagari were here too. You feeling tired after what we did earlier? Earlier? You know, when we took the samples of your memories for Amadeus? Oh, right. Daru had mentioned that. He said it was at the end of January. No, it's just, you know... What is it, Ocarina? You still can't remember what happened since you came to this time? Huh? Yeah. I see. Why do you ask? No reason, I just wanted to make sure. What? You're being weird, Ocarina. Since I'd come from the future, I knew. In this world line, Krisu's memories no longer existed inside of Kagari's head. But it doesn't really bother me anymore, though. I mean, Mommy's here, and Luke is here, and Big Sis Rumi is here, too. There's lots of food, too, so maybe it doesn't need to force myself to remember. I see. Maybe that was fine for now, but the future was going to be filled with sorrow. For Mayuri, for Ferris, for Lukako, for Daru, for Suzuha, for Kagari, and for Maho. Did I really make the right choice when I decided to let Krisu die? After everyone had left and I was alone, all the exhaustion came crashing down on me. I'd time-leaped 3,000 times. I thought I'd be able to work things out in my head along the way, but I'd been so desperate to return to the past that I hadn't had time. My mind was worn down after all the time leaps. I thought I'd made my decision, but I'd found myself wavering again and again. I'd only managed to do it by telling myself that I had to get back before I could make any decisions. Now my head just felt so tired. What should I do now? What should I do? For now, I didn't want to think about anything, but I felt too awake to even sleep. With everyone gone, the temperature in the lab quickly dropped. It was freezing. It was nothing compared to the cold I'd felt before. That world I'd seen right after I'd erased Krisu's memories from Kagari. Krisu was there, Mayuri was there, everyone was there. It was a scene from that very brief piece I'd had during that summer. But that world had been so cold, and now I knew why. That was the world that I'd experienced when I was asleep, existing only as data. A world built out of only zeros and ones. Like being alive even when you're dead, or being forced to stay alive even though you were dead. The people I loved were there, but there was no warmth. I could reach out and touch them, but there wasn't even a little bit of warmth. It was like floating in deep, dark space without any light at all. And Makase Krisu was now experiencing that too. She was all alone in a cold world without the slightest trace of warmth. I raised my hand up under the fluorescent light. I could see the veins rising up out of it, and the red blood flowing in them. I was alive. There was warmth, but could I really say that I was alive? Now that my memories had been digitized, after being exposed to that cold world, could I really still be called human? I heard a knock at the door and turned my eyes towards it. Maho was standing there. Yajo, I thought you went home. I forgot something. Forgot something? Anyway, what are you doing here all by yourself? Maho showed no signs of looking for whatever she had lost. Instead, she came right up and sat down in front of me. You've had that pensive look in your face for a long time now. Is something bothering you? Maybe she'd been worried enough to come back and check on me? I can't take Krisu's place, but I can still talk to you if you want. There was no need to worry about whether I could tell her or not. I needed her to make the time leap machine. And for that, she needed to hear everything. It's not exactly easy to believe, but will you listen to me anyway? Sheesh, what's your problem? That was the first thing she said after I finished. Just like last time, it wasn't something that was easy for her to believe. But Maho must have sensed something in the way I spoke because she listened until I finished. She interrupted me whenever there was something she didn't understand. She was especially interested in the time machine and the time leaps. I told her everything I knew about them. Will you believe me? I don't have a choice. After seeing the look in your face and after seeing this too, Yajo, this answers something I've always wondered about. Krisu had died only a short while after coming to Akihabara. Could you really have gotten to know her in that short a span of time? Especially knowing how she is, right? I thought something must have gone on for her to get so close to a boy that fast. So that was it, she whispered to herself. And, so what's in your mind? I turned away from her. Okabe? Am I... me? What do you mean? You heard what I said, right? My memories were turned into data and stored on a hard drive. You could call them artificial memories if you wanted. Can you really say that I'm me anymore? Can you really say that I'm alive? There was blood running through my body, but what was in my head had been changed into zeros and ones. Didn't that make me no different than Amadeus? That's what's bothering you? That's stupid. But Maho just laughed at my worries. Have you ever heard of the philosophical zombie? A thought experiment proposed by philosopher David Chalmers to explain qualia? Qualia are individual sensory experiences like red, a good smell, or sweet. A philosophical zombie is someone whose external experiences, internal structure, and words and actions mirror a human's, but who lacks those qualia. In this case, we would be unable to distinguish between philosophical zombies and ordinary humans. It's a thought experiment, right? Something that looks and behaves just like a human but lacks consciousness and emotions, and whether or not you could objectively distinguish it from a human? I hesitated a little as I answered her sudden question. Well, that's basically right. She nodded, satisfied, like a teacher would do. Then let's say that right here there was an AI that looked just like a human. It looks like a human, acts just like one too. When someone's in trouble, it reaches out to help them, and when it's sad, it cries. Maybe those are just pre-programmed processes, but humans are no different. Everyone thinks and reacts in accordance with their own individual processes. We just happen to call those processes things like consciousness and feelings. I thought I understood what Maho was trying to say. In other words, AIs have feelings too? At least we scientists are doing our best to create them. She puffed out her chest with pride. So, Okabe, do you think you're not an AI with emotions? If they looked just like a person and thought just like them and had feelings too, they were a person. No. Right, it's memories that make someone who they are anyway. Memories are everything people have experienced since they were born. So, Rintaro Okabe, even if your memories were once the data, you've got your body and your memories. You're human. You're Rintaro Okabe. Don't worry about it. Gotcha. And anyway, doesn't Krisu's time loop machine digitize data to send it back in time? So is there any need to worry about this now? That was what Daru had told me in the future too. But strangely, when she said it, it made me feel better. Maybe Krisu would have been able to come up with a better way to put it, but no, that's not true. This was more than enough. Maho had given her opinion as a brain scientist that I was still me. There was a strength in her words, just like there had been in Krisu's when she'd driven me forward. I remembered what Maho had said before. You're a genius, and in the end, I'm just Salieri. She'd been speaking to the memories of Krisu inside Kagari, but... Yacho, you're not Salieri. Huh? You're Amadeus. That's right. I'm here right now. I'm alive, and here in this time, not in that cold sea of black data. I'm here in this time. A light came on in the darkness. My cold heart began to warm. But... Krisu, she was still trapped inside that world. Inside that sterile, lifeless world that froze you to the depths of your soul. Even after her death, her memories were still alive, and there were all kinds of conspiracies forming around her living memories. Even after she lost her body, Krisu's pain continued. No, it wasn't just Krisu. Kagari and Suzuha. And in the future, Mayuri, Ferris, Lukiko, and Daru too. Everyone was suffering, everyone was miserable, but still they tried to move forward. All I had cared about was whether Mayuri survived. I thought that even if the Third World War came, no matter what happened to the world, as long as Mayuri was happy, that was all that mattered. I tried to think that. I thought that no matter how much blood and tears awaited us in the future, as long as things were fine now, that was all that mattered. I thought I'd understood. I thought I'd understood how awful the future that Suzuha described was, and how hard Daru and Suzuha would have to fight. I thought I understood all that. Suzuha firing her gun and staining her hands with blood like it was nothing at all. Mayuri and Ferris pale and colorless. Lukiko lying on the ground and never getting up again. Kagari and the others whose lives were ruined by fate. I'd seen them with my own eyes and touched them with my own hands, and then I finally understood. I'd been only pretending to know so I could run away. I told myself that I was going to die in 2025 and looked the other way. 2025. I wasn't dead. Everyone just thought so. Everyone had been deceived. That's right, deceived. Me in the past, and everyone else in the future. The world was deceived. I thought the future was settled, but a different future awaited me. The path to Steins Gate is a hard one. Trying again once or twice probably won't get you there. But I think starting there is the best way to get to it. That's what you said 11 years ago. So this world we're in isn't wasted. It's a world we need. Or at least that's what I think. I had no way of knowing what would make me say that 14 years from now. All I knew was that 14 years from now I would know this day was coming. So maybe I should do what I said. If that future in 2036 was necessary, then maybe a world where Krisu was released from her electronic prison was necessary too. No matter how hard the path would be, I had to take the first step. And what I needed right now was that first step. Yajo. What? Can you help me a little more before you go back to America? Okay, but on two conditions. Conditions? First, you let me look at that time machine. And second, you're going to let me call you Ocarine. You call me Maho. I don't think they're too much, do you? There was an innocent smile on her face, the likes of which I'd never seen before. Alright, Maho. Thanks, Ocarine. When she put her small hand against mine, I felt a solid warmth. What is it, Ocarine? Why didn't you call me back after I already left? That's right. I don't live that close to here. If you wanted to talk about something, you should have said so before I left. I'd called all the lab members back after they'd left to go home, and they weren't happy. So, what do you want to talk about, Ocarine? Is it something you couldn't tell us on Ryan or the phone? Yeah, but first, Suzuha. What? I have a question. What do you think about me? What do you mean? Wait, Ocarine, you can't. Even for you, Ocarine, I'm not giving you Suzuha. Daddy won't allow it, never. I ignored Daru, who seemed to have gotten the wrong idea completely, and turned back to Suzuha. You've been watching me since last summer. What have you been thinking about me? I want your honest opinion. You're sure? Yeah. To be honest, you've been pissing me off. Yeah, that was honest, I chuckled. It's not just me. Dad and Big Sis Mayu. It's Big Sis Rumi and Brother Luca and Kagari. In the future, everyone suffers. They don't even know if they're going to be alive tomorrow. They might die horribly like my mom did. And they're trying their best to survive anyway. But all you do is whine and act like you're the only person in the world with problems. Once she started talking, she didn't stop. This must have been building up for a long time. Of course, I know you've been through a lot. I know you've suffered again and again until finally you couldn't go on. But you're all we have, Uncle Ocarine. She looked down, clenched her fists, and grit her teeth. If I could take your place, I'd do anything. No matter what I had to go through, no matter how much it hurt, I'd do it. But there's nothing we can do. You're the only one who can do anything. She suddenly looked up, and I could see on her face all the complicated feelings she'd been holding back. But all you do is talk about how it's impossible, or you can't do it, or you don't want to. You just whine, and you won't even listen to me. I never said anything because Dad was around, but you've always pissed me off. A lot of the time, I just wanted to punch you. Yeah. Probably felt good to get all that off her chest. Suzuha, you didn't need to go that far. Yeah, that's right. Ocarine understands, yeah? I did understand, yeah. I understood that something had to be done. Then why not do it? Do what? You wanted to hit me, right? Then hit me. Huh? But no need to hold back. Suzuha, stop it. Ocarine is... It's fine, Mayuri. This was my way of settling things. With Suzuha. With the future. With myself. Is that your fetish? I guess I won't stop you, but... You're really sure? Suzuha took a step towards me. Yeah, I was ready. Alright, this is gonna hurt. No, wait, you can't go easy. You can go easy. And he dies at this point in time. Alright, that was a great sound, actually. She hit me hard enough to knock me across the room. Oh, sorry, I guess I put a little too much force into it. I just heard a really loud crunch. Are you okay, Ocarine? Everyone ran over and looked down at me. Yeah, that hurt a lot. Probably did more damage to my brain than reading Steiner or the time leaps. But... we'll see. Hold on. Let me, oh, I always do that. Alright, that should do. Should be able to nab that. I'm sure I only needed one. The rest was just for me. Okabe. It woke me up. Now I just had to do what I could. Ocarine? That Mamoru Miyanu laugh. Perfection. Is that Kyoma? No, Mayuri. I am Hoyoin Kyoma. Yes, my name is Hoyoin Kyoma. Lab member number 001, the founder of this lab, the man who longs for chaos, the mad scientist who will upend the ruling hierarchy of the world, Hoyoin Kyoma. Lukako. Right. Bring me my white lab coat. Right. Okay, I mean Kyoma. Kyoma's back now. Dad, what is this? You did it, Suzuha! Okarine's finally ready to fight! Here you are, Kyoma. Indeed. I put my lab coat on for the first time in a very long time. It had been sitting on the shelf in the back so long that it smelled a little moldy. That's right. This is it. This is my holy silver armor. At this moment, Hoyoin Kyoma has awakened. He is revived from his long slumber. Kagari and Maho were seeing Hoyoin Kyoma for the first time, and they were shocked into silence. What just happened? Did that punch drive him crazy? I remember now. Huh? Hoyoin Kyoma. Mama used to talk about him all the time. She said that someday Hoyoin Kyoma would come back to life and bring light to our future. Having a really hard time keeping up with all this. You, the lowly. Huh? You, I'm talking to you. What? You're not talking to me, are you? Literally talking to you. You're the only lowly here, aren't you? Who are you calling a lowly? I give you the honor of being lab member number 009. You shall be my servant and participate in our operations. Why do I have to be a servant? What the hell is a lab member? Just like the name suggests, it means you're an official member of this lab. You must feel very honored. Honored? I feel like I got just one stray hair trying to... Next, Kagari Shina. You're lab member number 010. Got it? Okay. 010, I guess, would be more accurate. Wait, Kyoma, we don't get to be lab members now? Paris and Lukako seemed upset. Come to think of it, I'd made them lab members in the Alpha World line, but not this one. I never told you, but of course, you are already lab members. Lukako is 006, Ferris is 007, and Suzuha is 008. Got it? Yes, sir. Yeah. Yay. I don't quite understand, but Roger? Wait, Ocarine, who's 4 and 5? Or 004 or 005? Those two numbers are reserved. For Krisu and Moeka, also in second. To be honest, I didn't like the idea of leaving Moeka as an official lab member, but in order to reach a future where that could be true, I would have to face the past right now. That was my decision. Now that everyone's here, I have something to declare. As of today, January 31st, 2011, we will begin a new operation. Our goal is to annihilate the coming future, to overrun the future of the world itself. That is our goal, got it? It's me. We will now execute a new operation. My future self told me that Steins Gate waits beyond several futures. Even if the future that awaits us is a path of thorns, it will not be useless. I know it will take an incredible amount of time to reach the door we seek. Many different organizations may rise up to stop us, but I'll start over as many times as it takes. pray for my success. L. Psi. Kunguru. I like how he says it different like every time. After I finished my phone call, I realized that everyone was staring at me. Please don't look at me that way. I'm embarrassed too. What did I just see? This is... I know. It's like a ceremony. A ceremony. Right. Yes, this was a ceremony. A ceremony to stop my fears from getting the best of me again. Wait, Ocarine, don't tell me you did that around Krisu. I am not Okabe, I'm Kyoma. You're messing with me? Mahotan, don't give him too much of a hard time. He's still trying to figure things out. Wow, so this is Hoyoin Kyoma, huh? That's right, he's the mad scientist of madness. And the reincarnation of an ancient alchemist now. Oh man, we can't escape alchemy here either. In fiction and conspiracy theories, a technology that allows for any kind of material, even the human body and soul, at a price I suppose, to be changed into any another. I did read that correctly, it just sounds weird. However, the principle of equivalent exchange must be observed. Real alchemists existed in medieval Europe, where they tried to use chemical methods to create precious metals. The techniques they developed would become the foundation of modern chemistry. He's also the master of the Senshin Zanma school. You've got the people who know and the people who don't. Wow! Sorry, Dad, I'm having trouble keeping up with this. Please don't stare at me like that. It's breaking my heart. So, what exactly is the plan? First, let me make something clear. Our final goal is a future where the Third World War never occurs. Just like I told myself a second ago, I didn't expect to get to the world line we wanted, the Steins Gate world line, immediately. Just like I'd had to build up through the Beta world line little by little, I'd have to go through many pasts and many futures. And to do that, I first had to write the world line's future. This world had lost Krisu, and the price for that was dire indeed. But I wouldn't let the future that awaited us be so full of suffering and pain. I wouldn't let it happen. Everything had to begin with that. Even if the future before us would end up never having happened at all, that was my responsibility since I had chosen this world. I told you all that I'd come through several world line changes since coming to the Beta world line, right? First, we need to remove the cause of those changes. What is it now? Marcus Krisu's laptop and hard drive, and her memories that are stored in Amadeus. The time machine paper contained in the hard drive and all of her memories relating to it. All of those world line changes. It was safe to assume that they'd been caused by Stratfor and others fighting over them. Thus, the final goal of our operation is to destroy Krisu's laptop and hard drive and delete her memory data. You can't delete Krisu's memory data, you can't. Are you serious? Yeah. But those memories are all we have left of her. They're all we have to prove she was ever here. I don't want to delete them. I know how she felt. Until a few days ago, I would have agreed. And you're okay with them being misused? That's not... On my way to this world line, I saw her memories start wars again and again. And many people have been caught up in that. Kagari was just one of them. What happened to Kagari in the past several years, that probably hadn't changed in this world line, which meant that that was just another tragedy caused by the Pandora's box that was Krisu's memories. And I've experienced that world of data too. I've experienced its cold. That's right, I knew. I knew how cold that world was. There was a world inside a tiny box with no past, present, or future. Do you want to leave Krisu in that cold, dark world forever? We've got proof that she existed right here. I put my finger to my head. We've got what we remember, and we've got the chance to build a peaceful world where a Third World War never happens. Isn't that all the proof we need that she was alive? Maho fell silent as the whole group turned towards her. It's really cheesy. If Krisu heard that, she'd laugh at you. I'm sure. But maybe it's a cheesy cliche because it's true? Maho's dark frown became a smile. I'll do what you want me to. Thank you. Daru, you got Krisu's laptop and hard drive, right? Yep. I got it from Mahotan and hid it somewhere it won't be found easily. As soon as we're done with Amadeus, destroy them. You sure? He looked back at Maho, and this time she nodded. Yeah, but let me do it. Okay. The problem now is Amadeus. Maho, do you still have access to Amadeus' server? Yeah, I should. Can I borrow your computer? Huh? Oh, sure, just a second. Daru motioned for her to stop with one hand, then started typing something into the keyboard. What are you doing, Daru? Just some tricks to make sure our IP isn't tracked. Okay, go ahead. Officially, Internet Protocol. However, the term IP is often mistakenly used to describe an IP address. An IP address is essentially an ID number given to a computer to allow it to exchange information via the Internet or LAN. The Internet Protocol is the method and standards used to exchange that information. Maho took over from Daru with the computer. Huh? That's strange. I can't access it. What do you mean? You mean you've got the wrong password? I wouldn't make that mistake. Do you know how many times I've entered that password? Maho tried the password a few more times, but she still couldn't access the server. Looks like my access has been revoked. What's going on with this? I'll call the professor. Maho took out her phone and called Dr. Leskinen. She put the phone next to her ear for a moment, then frowned and put it down. No good, he's not picking up. She tried calling Dr. Reyes too, but that didn't work either. Jeez, what's going on with this thing? I guess it wouldn't be that easy, huh? If Maho's access rights had been taken away, that must have meant someone was about to do something. Let's try another approach. Can you hack the Victor Krondia University servers? Okay, just give me a second. You're making it sound easy. Our lab security is pretty tight. Don't worry, Daru's a super hacker. You mean a hacker, man? He had broken certain security in just 20 hours. I had absolute faith in him. Daru and Maho were staring at the screen and discussing something. He was probably asking her for details to make his hacking more efficient. I needed to do what I could while I waited. I went back into the development room and opened up a box that had just arrived that day. Mary looked over my shoulder into the box. Wow, it's a microwave! I'm not using it to heat up your fried chicken, okay? Too bad. I was going to make some juicy chicken #1 for everybody if they were hungry. First, I needed to reconstruct the phone wave. After that, I'd have Maho help me make the time leap machine. On my way back from the future, I'd memorized every bit of how it worked, so it didn't take very long. Ashida, you're amazing. It was about 30 minutes later when I heard Maho's awed voice. Did you get it? For a top-quality hacker like me, this is nothing. The name Super Hacker isn't just for show, huh? Alright, see if you can find Amadeus' data. Hold on, I'm opening it now. I swallowed and looked at the screen as I listened to the mouse click. It's gone. Amadeus, Krisu's memories, all the folders that should be there are gone. So, someone took it already? Wait. I unlocked my phone and called up the home screen. Amadeus' icon was still there. Hey, do you think you could access Amadeus from this app? Maho looked up over at my phone. I don't know. If Amadeus' data is gone from the servers, I don't think it would work. Give it a try. What's wrong? I was just thinking about what it'd do if I connected. I need to be careful. That's right, someone might be watching you. Hmm? What is it, Daru? Look, there's a folder with another lock on it. Which one? Maho leaned forward and stared at the monitor. That's strange. That didn't used to be there. It's pretty heavily secured, way more than the rest of the system. Was that where Amadeus was moved? But who would do that? Only Dr. Leskinen has that level of authority. Maybe Dr. Leskinen's up to something and we don't know it, or maybe something happened to him. Neither possibility was appealing. Daru, we'll leave that folder alone for now. Next, I want you to hack Stratfor's servers. Huh? Stratfor? Why? They're probably involved in all this. You've done it once before. Can you do it again? Wait, how did you know that? Are you psychic? Who do you think I am? The mad scientist of madness knows all. Give me a sec, he said, as he typed something else into the computer. Stratfor servers. Got it. I could tell he'd done it once before. This time he got through a lot faster than it took him to break into the university. So, you just want me to find data on that Amadeus system? Hold on. Maho leaned her tiny body forward again and took the mouse from Daru. She clicked on an icon. The screen filled with some kind of text. This is a report. She opened several more files, but since they were written in English, we couldn't read them. What is this? What are these reports about? Experiments. Stratfor was experimenting on humans. Experimenting on humans? Looks like Stratfor was working on human memory transplantation. They did a lot of experiments trying to transfer memories from one person to another. Memory transplant experiments. That was... They started with animals, but by the end they were using live humans. These people with no relatives of subjects. Kids, adults, people from different ethnic backgrounds. She looked down at the report again. What is it? Is there something else? Looks like they're about to start a new memory transplant experiment. It's safe to assume the experiment had something to do with the time machine. They're trying to force open the black box of Krisu's memories in order to gain information about the time machine. Even if they couldn't get the password for the laptop from Amadeus, if they could access her memories directly, it would give them everything they needed. It's just like what had been done to Kagari in the last World Line, but on a more advanced level. Our priority now is finding Krisu's memory data. Daru, think it's there? He took the mouse back from Maho and sighed. Nope, no luck. I'm not seeing anything. What was going on? Hadn't Stratfor stolen Amadeus data from Victor Carandia? The university server is the most suspicious, the one with the locked folder. Which meant that they were working without stealing the data? Did they hack it like we did, or...? What's the plan? We'll believe Maho. Daru, can you get us in? I can, but it's gonna be a pain. How long's it gonna take? Couldn't tell you. Might take more than 12 hours. If Daru said so, it must have been really heavily protected. And if they catch me hacking halfway through, it's all over. We needed to hack in to get rid of Krisu's memory data, and until Daru finished, we needed to keep Stratfor distracted. The problem was how. What happens to my location data when I'm talking to Amadeus? It all gets recorded. Of course, the people who've got Amadeus' program can see it. Thought so. Question is, do I contact her or not? First, I needed to see if the app even worked anymore. If it did, I had an idea. Maho, can I ask you something crazy? Sure, he hasn't sounded crazy at all in the past while. A full day had passed since the operation began. Daru still hadn't managed to break the lock on that folder. Thankfully, they hadn't detected him yet, but that didn't mean we were safe. While Daru did his work, I finished my own, and then handed the rest off to Maho. My actions might have changed the future already, but we still had to do our jobs. Suzuha had her arms crossed, expression stern. She'd been that way for a while. At a glance, she looked calm, but I could see her tapping her arm with her index finger. Uncle, is there nothing I can do? We were finally ready to stop the Third World War. It had to bother her that there was nothing she could do. It had to be stopped as soon as possible, but all she could do now was wait. She was frustrated and on edge. But that was true of everyone else. Just wait a little longer. Daru and Maho are doing their best. Once Maho completed what I'd asked for, there would be something we could do too. Yeah. I'm gonna go get us something sweet to eat now. Sweets are great when you're tired, yeah? Oh, then I'll go too. Just as the two of them stood up, the development room's curtain opened. Maho flinched a little as everyone stared at her, but she quickly smiled. Then she thought better of it and tried to look more serious. Sheesh. You didn't have to ask me to do all this at once, did you? Sorry, so is it done? I did what you told me to, I guess. The microwave in the back was connected to a different headset than the one I'd seen last year. It was the same one she'd used to take my memories. That's why she'd been able to finish this in such a short time. A time leap machine. So it was done then. Now, even if I had to time leap from the future, I could get back in 48 hours. I could go back to 48 hours from now. And this too. She offered me a pair of smartphones. These gadgets would be our secret weapons in the upcoming battle. I had had Maho make them too. He used a simple AI to create a pseudo-response algorithm that would deceive our opponents. Wow, I can't believe you managed to make an AI in such short time. You were the one who told me to do it. Her face looked exhausted. I had the voice software I used for Amadeus, so I was able to build it quicker. And this isn't anything as complicated as an AI. You really think you could fool her with this? It's Krisu we're talking about here. We just have to deceive her for a short time. All we need to do is keep their eyes off of Dara's hacking. The goal was just to keep Stratfor confused. We didn't need to hold a long conversation. We just hook it up for a short time and end the call shortly afterwards. It was time to get started, but first... I hit the send button on a message I'd already typed to Kiryu Moeko. Once it was done, I turned towards the group. I will now explain the operation. Suzuha, Mayuri, Ferris, Lukako. I offered them the phones that had just been given by Maho. Going to have you pair off. Then I want you to take these phones and move around the city. It would be best to have the pairs as far apart as possible. One can take the Chuo line, the other can take the Yamanote line. Stay in touch and use the app on the phones called Amadeus. While Daru was doing his hacking, I'd left Akihabara and tried to contact Amadeus from Tokyo Station. And it had worked. Krisu had responded. I cut it off instantly, but I was sure of it. The app was still working, and this plan was going to use it. What do we do once it's running? Amadeus is an AI made from the memories of a girl named Makase Krisu. We're going to deceive her. That's right, our goal was to deceive Krisu. When we contacted Amadeus, the enemy would know where we were. My plan was to take advantage of that fact. When you boot up the Amadeus app, it will start another program too. What's the other program now? Can you hit the icon with the S right there? This now? Ferris tapped on her phone. Hello, it's me. Wow, it's Okrian's voice. Try talking to it. What's up, Nya? Nothing really, I just wanted to talk to you a little. Wow, it automatically answers, huh? What I'd asked Maho to make was a simple program that detected words and phrases in a conversation and replied with set patterns. You could call it an artificial non-intelligence. It's a bot made by Okrian and myself. We call it Salieri. Thanks to the famous movie, Salieri was known as a lesser man with an inferiority complex, but in reality, he was a very talented composer. It felt a bit rude to the real Salieri to give his name to something like this, but there wasn't time to worry about that now. Once you activate Amadeus, our bot is set up to automatically respond to it. In other words, we can make them think it's you talking. That's right. Which meant Amadeus would think I was where they were. I would have liked to have had more terminals, but since Amadeus needed the cell phones to be registered with its systems, there weren't many I could use. All I had were my phone and Maho's, but for a short time period it would be enough. Of course, Maho's phone had her own version of Salieri. And then there was the message I sent to Moeka's Ryan. The plan was for her to spread information indicating that Maho and I had Krisu's laptop and hard drive. Even if they were doing the memory experiments, they still wouldn't want someone else getting their hands on them. Sooner or later, they'd pick up on that information and come after me with everything they had. Amadeus was in their hands. If Amadeus' location data told them I was there, they could come looking. But we wouldn't be there at all, and then they'd get a call from someplace completely different and head there. The plan was to keep them occupied with that, and keep their eyes off the server hacking. That is your mission. Everyone nodded. I'll say again, you must absolutely not make contact with Amadeus for an extended period of time. And once you hang up, you need to move. If something happens, call me immediately. You need to do these things no matter what, got it? What should I do? Higari raised her hand hesitantly. They know your face, you should stay here. But I want to help too. I don't want to do nothing while Mommy and everyone else are helping. Well, this was a problem. Please, Okrian, let me help too. I understood how she felt, but I still couldn't put her in danger. I'm sorry, but... Kagari, Mayushi's gonna work hard for you too, so do as Okrian says, okay? Okay, if you say so, Mommy. That seemed to be good enough for her. Uncle, shouldn't we hide Kagari somewhere until this is all over? Maybe, but where? If we were going to hide her, it would have to be at Lukako's house, or Ferris's place. Why not go to my hideout? Hideout? You've got a hideout? I got a lot of them, thanks to my job. If you want one, it's yours. Alright then, it's settled. Are you okay with that, Kagari? Yeah, alright. It's not really helping, it's hiding, but you know. The issue is that I couldn't leave Kagari alone. Is there something I could do? Huh? Turned around and saw that at some point, Yuki had entered the room. Ashida gave me the key to the lab. She showed us the key in her hand apologetically. And last night I called him and he seemed like he was really busy with something, so I brought him some snacks. She put the key away and then showed us a bag with the logo of a local cake shop on it. I don't know what's going on, but I was hoping there would be something I could do. But we can't get you involved. No, she just has to stay with Kagari. He should be fine. Before, I thought that it was maybe Yuki who'd attacked the lab, but looking back, that was wrong. If she was the woman in the motorcycle suit, there was no need to do something so elaborate. She could have just used the fact that she was in the same circle as Kagari to invite her somewhere and kidnap her. There was no need to take the risk of attacking the lab. Thanks. Alright, Yuki, you stay with Kagari. I want you staying at Daru's hideout until this all blows over. He can tell you where to go. Once things calm down, I'll tell you what's going on. Alright. Yuki nodded. Now everything was ready. I looked around at everyone in the lab. Okay guys, now just follow the plan and... Wait, Ogreen. You don't want to say goodbye to Krisu? Goodbye. Amadeus was an artificial intelligence. She was an artificial being, not Krisu herself. Say goodbye, okay? So you won't regret it. Mayuri handed back the phone I'd just given her. You're right. Can you all give me just a minute? Okay. I left Mayuri and Lukaku behind and went to Akihabara Bridge. If I made contact with Amadeus, she'd know where I was. That's why I'd chosen this place. This was the first place I'd let Krisu see how weak I was back when everything seemed at its darkest. An advertising van passed by, blaring jaunty opera music at a loud volume that clashed horribly with its flashy paint job. I waited for her to get out of earshot before I tapped the Amadeus icon. She showed herself immediately. It's been a long time. That's right. I thought you'd forgotten me. I hadn't forgotten. I could never forget. I've been busy. How many goodbyes had I said now? I said goodbye to her again and again. I'd never gotten used to it. So, what is it today? There was something I wanted to ask you. What, you want to know if I can make a time machine again? That was a joke. Keep going. Just hypothetically, if you could give up your life to save a friend's, would you do it? I'm not sure I understand what you're getting at. Answer me, please. She must have been able to tell from my words and expression that I was serious, because she took on a serious expression as well. That friend's someone important to you, isn't it? Yeah. There's still many things I want to do, many things I have to do, but even so, if I can make that friend and the people around me happy, maybe I would. Krisu. Sorry, I've never had that happen to me, so all I can do is imagine. Which means I can't give you a real answer, but if there was still one person who would remember me, if there was still one person who wouldn't forget. Anyway, forget about me. Forget about what happened today and everything that came before. That's what I want. Tinted memories. Yeah, you know. I can't forget. Huh? Never. I will never forget. This was a vow. A vow to get me through the long time to come. Okabe? Sorry for asking something so silly. No, I don't mind. Did something happen? No, it's nothing. Nothing. Anyway. Bye. Wait. Huh? Oh, no, it just felt like I was never going to see you again. Krisu. That's not true. Of course, right? I don't know where I got that idea. We'll see each other again, I promise. Yeah. That's right. This wasn't goodbye forever. I'd see her again. So I won't say goodbye. Not until I see you again. See you again. Yeah, see you again. I have no idea how long it will take, but I'm going to reach you. I promise. I went back to Mayuri and Lukako and gave them the phone. Did you say your goodbyes? Yeah. I'm counting on you guys. Yep. I watched them disappear into the crowded station and went back to the lab. The van was still playing its loud music as it drove down the street. 5 hours had passed since the operation had begun. The only sound in the room was of Daru's fingers on the keys. How's it going, Daru? Doesn't look like they found us. Is it going to take a lot more time? At least 3 hours. Guess it wasn't going to be easy after all. Daru must have been exhausted, but he was still working. Excuse me. Mayuri and the others were sending me regular messages. Mayuri had paired off with Lukako and Ferris with Suzuha. Since they knew each other so well, they were doing a great job of working together and running around Tokyo. Suzuha had told me that she'd seen shady-looking people several times, and Moika had sent me a message saying that they'd taken the bait. For now, the operation was succeeding without anyone getting hurt, but I didn't expect it to last forever. I wanted to get Krisu's memory data deleted as fast as possible, but in the end, my only choice was to rely on Daru. Sorry about this, Daru. You promised not to say that, buddy. I remembered how he looked 25 years in the future. Even in that far distant future, he was still my friend. Okarin, can I have a second? Until a little bit ago, Maho had been resting to recover from her exhaustion, but at some point she must have gotten up. What is it? Look at this. She handed me a stack of papers. It was a printout of Stratfor's report. She must have been looking at it after she'd woken up. What's this? A list of Stratfor's experimental test subjects. There were rows of names, sexes, and ages, and other information. Look here. She pointed her small finger at one of the names. It said Kagari Shina. She was one of Stratfor's guinea pigs. Of course I'd known it was a possibility. That's why they'd been looking for her. And she had Krisu's memories too. But still, it was one thing to suspect it and another to see proof. But they never made it to the last phase of the experiments. It looks like. It says she ran away just before they got the chance. That made me feel a lot better. If Kagari still had Krisu's memories, I would have seen a repeat of what happened in the last world line. This must be another effect of the world line change. But there was still no doubt that she had been in Stratfor's hands for years, and she had been the subject of many experiments during that time. I'm a little worried. Maho must have been thinking the same thing I was. Kagari was alone with Yuki at Daru's hideout right now. Who's calling me now? I'm busy. The ringing that suddenly interrupted our conversation was coming from Daru's phone. It's Amaneshi. I wonder what's up. I had a bad feeling. Yes, hello, Amaneshi. What is it? Did something happen? Huh? Kagari-tan was what? What happened to Kagari? She says she's gone. What? I grabbed the phone out of his hands and put it up to my ear. It's me, Okabe. Is Kagari really gone? Okabe, I'm sorry. I was right next to her. What happened? Did she get kidnapped? No, Kagari left on her own. I tried my best to stop her, but she was so strong. On her own? What was going on? Was Yuki really... No, that was impossible. If Yuki was working for Stratfor, she wouldn't be calling me. Then why had Kagari run off on her own? Can you put it on speaker? I want to hear this too. I hit the button to switch the call to speakerphone. Yuki, tell me more about what happened before Kagari ran off. Was there anything strange? No, we were just talking. Did you see or hear anything strange? No. Oh wait, come to think of it, I did hear some weird music from outside. It's like some kind of jingle from an advertising van. I remember it because it was really loud. An advertising van? Was it the one I'd seen this afternoon? That's it. I just read about it in that file. It was one of the experiments Stratfor did. That experiment involved brainwashing. Brainwashing? Brainwashing? The use of violent methods to forcibly change someone's thoughts or ideology. Violence in this case can refer to physical methods, imprisonment, threats, physical pain, drug injections, or psychological ones, implanting a feeling of guilt, using verbal abuse. It offers a more powerful method of changing a person's mentality than mind control. I think she might have been brainwashed to behave in a certain manner if she heard a pre-programmed source of music. That's the only way to explain why she'd run off on her own right now. That song the band was playing. It was K6205, Magic Flute, sent to lead Kagari astray. The file also said that she was an ideal candidate for the experiments and that they were still looking for her. Damn it! They probably had fans like that all over Japan, not just Akihabara, and she'd fallen right into their trap. What do we do, Ocarine? It was obviously Stratfor that had gone after Kagari, which meant that all we could do was... Then there was another call. This time it was on my phone. I'd had Ferris prepare several cell phones for my use in this operation. One to use to call everyone, one to give to Kagari, and... The call was coming from the phone I'd given to Kagari. Probably wasn't from her, though. What could it be? Okabe Rintaro, correct? The digitally altered voice made the caller seem even more eerie. Yeah, that's right. Who are you? We have Kagari Shina. I don't need to tell you what we want, do I? Chris's laptop and hard drive. Give me time to think. Think about what? The exchange will take place tomorrow. We'll tell you where and how later. They hung up. They want to swap her from Chris's computer and hard drive. So, what's the plan? Can't believe Kagari was brainwashed. Suzuha was gritting her teeth in frustration as she listened to us. I'd had her come back immediately after the call. And I'd brought Moeka Kiryu to the lab as well. I want your honest opinion. If we do what they want, will they give us back Kagari? No. Moeka gave her honest opinion. I agree. They're willing to use dirty tricks like brainwashing. If they don't need her, they'll just kill her. They might kill you too. The only reason they would have called me specifically is that they knew I had information they wanted to keep hidden. After what I'd gone through already, I could safely assume they'd show no mercy. And they were after what Krisu had left behind. Her memories and her belongings. I didn't want them causing any more wars, which meant there was only one thing I could do. Go have to bust in and take back Kagari. It was dangerous, but it was the only way. Mayuri and the others were still out there fighting, which meant they should still think I was running around the city. Bust in? You don't even know where they are. I do. Really? Uncle, when did you... Suzuha, will you help? Okie dokie. I turned towards Moeka, who shook her head. I'm not willing to go that far. I bet. You can't go alone, it's too dangerous. No, it might be safer than going with a big group. And I knew that fate wasn't going to let me die for a little while longer. You're not going to tell the other girls? It would probably just worry them. Daru, keep working on that file lock, and leave your phone on a call with me. Uncle, here. Suzuha handed me a semi-automatic pistol. A Glock. A semi-automatic pistol developed by Australian arms manufacturer Glock. It is the civilian version of the official sidearm of the Austrian military, the PI-80. It is a 9mm caliber and 17 + 1 round capacity. The frame is fully plastic. Its revolutionary design would have a huge effect on later firearms. Protect yourself if you have to. I hesitated, but decided to take it. It was the first time in my life I'd ever held a gun, and it was a lot heavier than I expected it to be. We also haven't, saved it all tonight, have we? The lights were still on in the building in Kanda. Even at this hour, the gate was open. That's how colleges were. As expected, we made it inside with no trouble. Kagari's in here. Yeah, she should be. If Dara's information from 2036 was right, Stratfor's base was here at my university, Tokyo Denkai. Several buildings occupied the school's Kanda campus. Building 1, Buildings 5 through 7, and Buildings 11 through 15. Buildings 5, 6, 10, and 15 were scattered throughout the surrounding neighborhood, but the remainder were in their own little isolated areas. The only two of those with basements were 11 and 15. And my guess was that Stratford's base was here in Building 11. It was not only the building with the newest equipment, but it was a big building with 17 floors and a lot of foot traffic going in and out. I didn't know how many people Stratford had working for them, but at least some of them had to have been out looking for me. Which meant this place would be less well guarded than usual. And I had Suzuo with me too. This was doable. This way. I led Suzuo straight down the stairs. There were 3 elevators in the building, but Suzuo had decided that taking them would be dangerous. They could potentially be trapped. The problem was what lay down below. There were over 20 rooms of varying sizes in the 2-story basement. Which one of them was their base? Uncle, this way. You know where to go? I remembered. I've infiltrated this place once before. You just casually forgot about that till now? In the future. When I was here, the place was falling apart, and the outside looked totally different, but I'm sure of it. No, that checks out. Suzuo led me down the corridors without hesitation. With a gun in her hand and her hips dropped low to the ground to avoid making noise as she ran, she looked just like a cat. She stopped in front of one of the rooms and nodded to me. Seemed no different than any of the others, but there was no nameplate on it. This was supposed to be a large generator room, as I recalled. I'll save Kagari. You just protect yourself, Uncle. Right. I took the Glock out from my belt. It was heavy in my hands. Suzuo had taught me how to use it, but I'd never fired it before and wasn't sure I'd be able to. But it would still serve as a bluff. Here. Oh, here we go. 3, 2, 1. After she finished her countdown, Suzuo shot off the doorknob, kicked open the door, and ran into the room. She did it all in one swift movement. Heavy, I ran in after her and realized immediately that something was wrong. The first thing I noticed was the stench. It was an iron smell, strong enough to make you puke. Well, I mean, it's gotta be dense. It has to be. I've never held a gun before, keep in mind. But shooting a bullet is just a contained explosion directed down a path. It has to be dense, otherwise it would break. And if it's going to be something that's like clearly meant for multiple repeated uses, it's gotta be hardy. Probably. Again, I've never held a gun, I'm just imagining. And I can imagine having nothing else to compare it to, it's probably more dense than it looks, even as plastic. Even if you know it's plastic, it's probably, again, I've never held one. This is all just me like, oh, that's what I think. Never held a gun before, so don't know. Blood. The floor of the room was covered with blood. There were bodies, too. 4 or 5 of them. Of course, Suzuo hadn't done it. It was already like this when she got here. What's going on? Yeah. That's just what I assumed, at least. Suzuo was slowly working her way forward. I followed her. Like, I'm sure if he was used to holding metal guns and was handed one, he'd be like, wow, that's surprisingly light. Yeah, it is still funny, too. Some of the bodies were Japanese, and some were American. The room continued on. A large man was lying face down next to a half-open door, and next to him was... You're here sooner than I expected, Rintril. No way. The voice saying my name was voluptuous and feminine, and its accent was foreign. Dr. Reyes? I'm glad you're doing well. Why? I came to get something I was looking for. Dr. Reyes spun around quickly and smoothly, like a dancer. Kagari was seated behind her. What's wrong, Kagari? Can't you hear us? There was some kind of strange mechanical device over her head. No matter how much I called out her name, she didn't move an inch. Oh dear, she's sleeping so peacefully, it would be rude to wake her up. Her smile was sharp and cold. It completely lacked the warmth I'd seen when we first met. Watch out, she's military. Suzuo already had her gun drawn at Reyes. But Reyes didn't seem concerned in the slightest. Military? Tenochi had said that, come to think of it, that the group looking for Kagari was with a Western military. and he'd wondered if a normal spy would have taken their own life. And who might you be? Give back Kagari. I love that face. I didn't know there was anyone in Japan with a face like that. Why don't you start by giving me your gun? If you don't, Kagari Shina will die, you know? The second she dies, you're dead too. I see. But I'm just one part of a larger organization. Killing me won't change a thing. Suzuha laid the gun at her feet, frustrated. Good girl. Now stand there with your hands behind your head. So, Rentaro, I believe I told you what the deal was. Did you bring them? Oh my, you're such a naughty boy. If you didn't bring them, then I can't let you have Kagari Shina. She'd said Kagari was asleep, but when I looked closer, I saw that her eyelids weren't fully closed. What little I could see of her eyes, they were empty and devoid of light. What did you do to Kagari? Unfortunately, nothing yet. I just played the lullaby they used with her. But if you're not going to accept my trade, then maybe I'll just get started. She rubbed Kagari's cheeks with the barrel of the gun, a look of ecstasy on her face. I've hidden Kreese's laptop and hard drive somewhere special. If you're not going to give me Kagari, then I won't tell you where. Let Kagari go first. Negotiations are pointless, Rentaro. If you're not going to give me what I want, then I'll just do things my way. It wasn't a threat or a bluff. Rias was acting like this was an everyday conversation. With all the blood and stench about us, that somehow made it even creepier. Did you do this? Yes. If they hadn't been so stupid, they might have managed to live a little longer. It's a shame. Why would you do something like this? It's simple. They figured out who I really was. You really are. Remember what she just said? You're with the military? And a scientist as well. DERPA. Not that that means anything to you, I'm sure. The American Defense Ultimate Research Projects Agency. Fictional, obviously. Created to adapt the latest scientific technology for military purposes. It reports directly to the President of the United States and the Secretary of Defense. It's staffed by around 300 people, many of whom are non-military civilians. And since it reports directly to the Secretary of Defense, it is kept free of direct military influence. Researchers in DERPA are given wide latitude to pursue projects they find interesting. During the days of its predecessor, ERPA, it was responsible for the development of ERPANET, which would later become the Internet as well as the Global Positioning System, GPS. DERPA? The Defense Ultimate Research Projects Agency? No way! Dr. Rias is with them? I could hear Maho's voice through my Bluetooth microphone. I'd left my phone connected to Daru so that we could stay in touch if we needed to. Okrin, just give me a little more time. By time? Now? It would be impossible. But I'd asked Daru for the impossible many times before. Now it was my turn. I couldn't let her hurt Kagari. Suzuha had lost her weapon. It would be hard to do this by force. I just needed to keep her occupied. Why would someone from the military? My team originally worked on brainwashing. Brainwashing? Then Kagari... Just so we're clear, it wasn't me who did this to her. It was them. Them? She must have meant the people lying on the floor. I don't know if I believe that. Why would the military want to brainwash people anyway? Oh, that's a stupid question. Why wouldn't they want to brainwash people anyway? Shoot her in the leg. Yeah, there was no need to even ask. But I needed to buy time for Daru to finish his hacking. You know why? We want soldiers who will do exactly as they're told. Our goal is to make the ultimate soldier, who never complains, who never fears death, and who willingly sacrifices himself for his country. There's nothing unusual about it. It's been done all over the world for over a century. But then we realized that we could make the ultimate soldier without going through the hassle of brainwashing. An AI soldier! Ah, cool. I keep forgetting to actually fix that. Yeah, I got them. I gotta just update their new URL, and then they'll be auto-blocked, but then they just change it within a week anyway. They even say remove the space now, yeah. You should definitely go to the VOD, Ramen. Cool. Enjoy. VOD. For sure. Absolutely. See ya. An AI soldier? The name alone made it sound like the title of a cheap sci-fi movie, but that also just made it creepier. I see. So you implant an artificial intelligence into the soldier's brain. That would let you mass-produce highly intelligent and highly capable soldiers. Huh? And if you can install the memories needed for special skills too, you'll have a whole army of specialists ready for any mission imaginable. That's right, Rintaro. You're quick on the uptake. And in the future, we'll be able to make soldiers capable of enhanced teamwork via group consciousness, too. Sapphire named Universal Soldier. Yeah, you know. What do you think? Amazing, isn't it? Technologically, yes. Morally, very no. You can't do that. It's wrong. That's what they all say. If everybody tells you can't do that, it's wrong. It's probably very morally wrong. I was worried that Suzuha might jump at her in fury, but she stayed completely calm. Reyes was right next to Kagari. No matter how fast Suzuha was, without a gun, Kagari was still in danger. If I knew Suzuha, she was watching the situation carefully and waiting for an opening. Listen to me. We want stability. Our military is the only thing keeping the world peaceful. And if they have to sacrifice themselves to become the soldiers who can make that possible, I'm sure they won't mind too much. It was selfish reasoning. There was no way I or anyone else could accept it. But... Interesting. Dr. Reyes. No, Reyes. You interest me greatly indeed. I saw Suzuha's gaze dart over to me for just a moment. Her eyes seemed to criticize me, but she didn't say anything. Rintaro? My name is not Rintaro. My job right now was to keep her busy until Daru broke the lock on the files, which meant that now was the time to act. To act the part of the biggest fool I could. That was my job. My name is Hoyoin Kyoma. I am the man who shall destroy the ruling structure of the world and plunge it into chaos. What kind of joke is this? Ha ha ha! I, the mad scientist of madness, Hoyoin Kyoma, admit it. You, Reyes, are moderately mad. From here is only half as bad, clearly. What? Hoyoin Kyoma! Rintaro Okabe is the disguise I use to deceive the eyes of the world. This is my true identity. I am the mad scientist, reviving like the phoenix. What am I even hearing? You're screwed up, kid. For a moment, her mouth hung open in shock, but she quickly regained her cocky smile. But I couldn't back down now. Reyes, I already know what you've done thus far. You infiltrated Victor Crandia University as a professor to work on your AI soldier project. And while you were there, you found out about Amadeus. Correct? Yes, that's right. Amadeus was quite the interesting project, but what interested me more? She stepped on the body next to her as if it were an object, not a human being. Were the traces I saw of their involvement. And just as I expected, I looked into it and found something incredible. You know what I found, right? The time machine, yes. Reyes flashed me a dazzling smile and nodded. I see. The time machine, the impossible dream of all mankind. You learned of the paper that described how it would work. And you learned that if you could get it, the world would be yours to command. Heh, but you were a fool. Everyone like you thinks the same thing. A fool? Yes, a fool. Ruling the world, working for the nation, working for the organization. These are all the goals of petty men. If you would use the greatest invention of human history for those things, then you're a failure as a scientist. I'm a soldier before I'm a scientist. I've offered my life to my country. If my country can command the world, that lets us keep every other potential threat in check. And that's what's best for the world and mankind. I wonder what country she's supposed to... I mean, it's not subtle. They straight up told us who she worked for. It was like, yeah, no, I get it. I get it. Her voice was rising in excitement. It's like, I get it. She's American. I understand. That's why we can't let any other country get ahead of us. By obtaining this revolutionary theory before anyone else, we can keep the world's power balance the way it is. We can keep the world peaceful. We, as long as we have all the power, can maintain order in the world because we are right. We are right about everything. So when we say something's right, we are correct in that, and we can force other people to listen to our way because we've got the most power. She's not wrong. That's how a lot of people think. We can't let another country, let alone a civilian corporation, get their hands on it first. And that's why you killed all these people? I'll say it again. You are a fool. I see. I do feel bad about what I did to them. She didn't really sound like she meant it, yeah. The plan was to let them go a while longer, and then take the data once they had it all. Then why kill them? One of the people I sent in to spy on them screwed up. So I do blame myself for that. But they're her fault too. Derpa hires civilian scientists. I offered them jobs, but they got greedy and started making demands. Losing talent like that is such a shame. The corners of her mouth rose a little as she spoke. It didn't seem like she really felt that way at all. So, Rintaro Okabe, I've got an offer for you. Why not work for Derpa? What? You look surprised. Why did you think I was telling you all this? Long villain monologues only exist in your Japanese samurai movies. Don't worry, we don't care about what country you're from. If you want, we can get you a green card. In other words, you recognize my talent. You recognize the mind of Hoyoin Kyoma. Of course, I wouldn't make this offer to someone without talent. You certainly got it. And you're Krisu, or Makase Krisu's friend, too. The real reason she was interested in me was probably the latter. It was far too obvious. I might have heard something from Makase Krisu about her time machine theories. That's what you're hoping. And that's why you want me. We take those who can be useful, and we pay. That's how things work in our world. Which means that once I'm not useful, I end up like the people on the ground over there. That depends on how hard you work and what you decide to do. Reyes laughed and went around behind Kagari. She seemed to be moving casually, but since Suzuha didn't pounce, she probably hadn't left any openings. Daru, are you done yet? I was hitting my limit for buying time. Well, take your time and think about it. Yeah. You have quite the high taste eye, if you've noticed my talent. High taste eye? High quality taste and a discerning eye. You're American, you don't even know that? But that's fine. I take back what I said about your failures as a scientist. Since, after all, you recognize my talent. I see, then you accept my offer. I refuse! What? Because I am Hoyoin Kyoma. A mad scientist must always be a solitary creature. He must never belong to anyone or anything at any time. That is his destiny. At first, Reyes seemed surprised, but then she exhaled a long sigh. Well, feel free to take your time. Think it over until I'm done with her. What are you going to do to Kagari? Suzuha still had her hands behind her head, but if looks could kill, Reyes would be dead already. You know what I'm doing. I'm overwriting her memories with Makase Krisu's. That's... In the other world line, maybe Derpa hadn't done that. Maybe Derpa had done that. Then in the other world line, maybe Derpa, they missed the had, that's what's throwing me off, had done that and not Stratfor? And that wasn't all. Was the woman in the motorcycle suit who attacked the lab? Don't make that face. I've used this technique on animals and any number of humans. Reyes rubbed Kagari's cheeks lovingly. This system had a critical flaw until now anyway. But this time it's fixed, and she's highly compatible. I'm sure it'll work fine. Every single word she spoke, and she spoke so slowly, felt like it was drawing me in. Krisu's memories, her mind, will be recreated inside this girl. And then we won't have to worry about any black boxes locking away parts of her memories. She'll do whatever we tell her, and I'm sure she'll tell us all about the time machine. We won't need Krisu's laptop or her hard drive. As long as we have her, we'll be fine. Reyes brought her crimson lips next to Kagari. Tell me, Kagari, you want to be Krisu, right? No, Kagari, don't listen to her! But Kagari didn't move at all. Her genius mind will be yours. You can revolutionize the world. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Well? Kagari's lips moved a little. Good girl. Rintaro, this was your choice too, you know. If you'd simply done as I'd asked, things might have turned out differently. And besides, you want to see Krisu, don't you? A person is nothing but their memories. It's their memories who make them who they are. When Kagari has Krisu's memory, she'll become Krisu, and you'll like that, won't you? And I'm sure Krisu will too. Shut up! I was surprised at how loud my voice was. Krisu would be happy? Hell no. Even if you do replace Kagari's memories with Krisu, she won't be Krisu. And she would never be happy to see her memories used like that. Don't you dare insult her. Don't you dare insult Makise Krisu. I see. That's a shame. But either way, the result doesn't change. You can just stand there and watch her mind be filled with the memories of the one you love. Raya started to tap commands into the computer next to her. Suzuha was still calm. She wasn't attacking Ryas because she was waiting for Daru's word. Daru, are you done yet? Sorry, Ocarina, I'm so close. Damn it. Uncle, Suzuha whispered to me. We may have to give up on Kagari. Once I move, get down. Knowing Suzuha, she wouldn't hesitate. Okay, all ready to go. What do I do? Should I give up on her? I couldn't do that, could I? But either way, Kagari was doomed. Alright then, sayonara, Kagari. Ryas' thin fingers stretched out. And Suzuha moved. She closed the gap between her and Ryas in an instant. A gunshot rang out. Suzuha's body shot back and fell to the floor. I thought you'd do that. Too bad, huh? Ryas had expected that, but there was nothing I could do. Don't! Before I could stop her, Ryas hit the keyboard. What? What's going on? Why isn't it working? Can't be. This stupid thing. God damn it! Shit! Raz pounded the keyboard again and again, swearing. Was there a problem with the system? There was a small light in Kagari's empty eyes. Bullshit! With Ryas distracted, this was my chance. Kagari, come with me! Kagari ripped the device off her head, stood up, and managed to run a few steps forward before she fell over. I ran over and grabbed her. Raz quickly brought her gun to bear. Another gunshot. Thought I'd been shot, but I hadn't. The gun, knocked out of Ryas' hand, was spinning on the floor. Don't take another step. Suzuha slowly stood up. She was holding the gun that she just placed on the ground. Suzuha, you're okay? I guess so. Her shoulders were bloody, but it wasn't a fatal wound. She was lucky to survive a gunshot wound at that range. The tables have turned. You got me. I didn't expect to lose to a kid like you. Raya shrugged her shoulders in surrender. But this isn't over yet, you know. I said don't move. Ryas ignored her and picked up the strange headset that Kagari had been wearing. Suzuha gripped her gun more tightly. Just so we're all on the same page, I'm carrying a small bomb with me. Just bite down a little on my back teeth and it explodes. At this rate, I'm sure you three would be caught up in it. So you're going to kill yourself? I've been trained to choose death rather than hand information over to the enemy, sadly. You're bluffing. If you think so, then shoot. Suzuha moved to pull the trigger. Wait, Suzuha. Just believe in Daru for now. Ryas glanced at Suzuha and then slowly put the headset down over her own head. What are you trying to do? You didn't want to use her either, did you, Amadeus? But you don't mind if I use someone else. No way. I told you, it won't end here. There was madness in her eyes. That's right, it was always so easy. There was never any need to use anyone else. I could have just done this myself. Now I will have Makise Krisu's memories. I will have the time machine theory. And I will be the one to revolutionize the world. No, don't. Don't use Krisu's memories for that. Yes, got it. Daru? No, it will time itself. Daru, get rid of that file now. Hold on, I'm looking for it now. Ryas' fingers went to the keyboard. Don't! It's okay, I'll make good use of the memories of the girl you love. Found it! I've got it, Ocarine! Delete it! Daru, now! Set her! Set Krisu free! Okie dokie.
Coming to me, Chris.
No, my. Rias's fingers touch the keyboard. Did I think to shoot the computer? Yeah, I got nothing. Thinking under pressure. I don't know. Yeah, they didn't. Silence. Nothing happened. At least before, I'd make the argument that they wouldn't know what would happen if they somehow screwed with the computer while Kagari was attached to it, but that's not an issue anymore. So yeah, now they have no excuse. There's no light or loud noise, like the phone wave. Of course there wasn't. It was all going on inside her head. What happened? Reyes? She was in the exact same position as when she touched the keyboard, completely unmoving. Did the memories download? I steeled myself to take a closer look. And Reyes collapsed to her knees. The light hit her face and I could finally see her expression. There was nothing there. No light, no darkness. Nothing. Just hollow emptiness in her eyes. That expression of joy she had when she touched the keyboard was frozen onto her cheeks. Ocarine, Daru was faster, by just an instant. The folder had been emptied just before she downloaded the memories into her own mind. She'd filled her head with emptiness, and now nothing was left. Not the memories she'd had before, not her own history, not her own desires. It was just an empty shell. It was just an empty shell kneeling on the ground as if praying to God. Daru, you did it. It's all over. Everything. Could hear Daru and Maho cheering from the earphone. Let's go, Uncle. It's not a good idea to stay here. You're right, Kagari. Can you walk? Yeah. The only things left were dead bodies and a living corpse. Amadeus, the girl on the other side of the machine, was gone. She was gone from this world, along with the memories of the person I loved. I whispered softly to a girl who was no longer there. I'll see you again, Krisu. Okay, Mayushi, we'll be back. Okay, bye. Luca, let's cosplay next time, okay? I'll think about it. Ocarine, everyone, thanks for having us over. Yeah, come back anytime. What is it? Ocarine, you've kind of changed. Have I? Yeah, you seem a lot easier to talk to now. Come on, Fubuki, it's rude to say that to his face. What? You were saying it too a minute ago, Kaede. Hey! Well, awkward exit time. Sheesh. Oh, then I guess I'll be leaving too. We got work again today. Yep, I'll call you when I'm off. Let's make plans for this weekend. Okay, I'll be waiting for you. What? What's this? Daru-nyan and Yuki-nyan seem like they're an item, yeah. Do we? But my love for you will never change, fairest-time. Come on, Dad, not again. It had been several days since then. All the chaos with Amadeus and Krisu's memories had calmed down, and normal life had resumed. There had been no official announcements about what had happened in the basement of Tokyo Denkai University. The next day, the basement had been sealed off because of what was described as a lab accident. The military, or maybe Stratfor, had covered it up. And since then, we hadn't seen anything strange going on around us. There should have been no traces that we were ever there. They probably weren't going to come after us. Anyway, what happened back there? Back there? When that woman tried to download Makase Krisu's memories into Kagari, it didn't work, right? Think it was just a system error? Daru-nyan's right. You probably shouldn't overthink it now. I don't know, it's been bothering me. Come to think of it, when that happened, Kagari seemed to have been thinking of something. She opened her mouth to speak. No, but... Come on, Kagari, don't stop your sentence halfway through. You're just making me wonder more. Thought I heard a voice back then. A voice? Yeah, there was someone in my head saying no. I don't really remember all that happened, so maybe it was just a dream. Amadeus? Could it have been Amadeus? Maybe at the last second she refused to allow her memories to overwrite Kagari's. It's not a very logical opinion to be coming from you, Maho. But Lukiko and Mayuri stared at each other when they heard Maho's words. Last time we activated Amadeus, the call cut off halfway through. Your bot was talking, but she seemed like she was in a really big hurry and hung up. Could that have been when it happened? But is that possible? I don't know, but Amadeus is just like a human. She has self-defense instincts. So it's possible that she realized her memories were going to be used for something wrong. In a different world line, Krisu's memories had once existed inside Kagari. Maybe Krisu had saved Kagari from experiencing the same fate here. There may have been another reason, but at least that was what I wanted to think. Hey, Ocarine, there's something I don't understand too. What's that? You were saying that Amadeus caused a lot of world line changes before now, right? But if we still remember what happened, that means the world line didn't change, right? Why is that? Oh, that? I thought about that right after what had happened. This is just a guess, but I think that whenever I'd done something involving Amadeus, it had caused Krisu's memories to fall into someone's hands. Whoever had gotten the memories had used them to rewrite the past. But this time we deleted Krisu's memories, so that means there's no world line change. The cause of the battle between Stratfor and Durpa was gone, and we'd gotten rid of the data that Krisu had left behind. The future created by Krisu's memories was gone. But Suzuha and Kagari were still here. If they were still here, then the future hadn't changed that much. Of course, I knew that. Unless I could reach Steins Gate, the world line convergence wouldn't change. But that didn't mean this was for nothing. There was that small flash of insight I'd felt in 2036. This world was another step towards it. So, what's the plan now? There's a lot to do, but first, I took something out of the pocket of my white lab coat. I have a present for everyone. What's this? Lab member badges. It identifies every one of us as members of this lab. OSHMKUFAHSA. The badge had everyone's initials on it. Of course, Krisu and Moika's were there too. I added in Maho, Hyajo, Kagari Shina, and Yuki Amane too. Accepting the past for what it was and connecting it to the future. That was my job right now. A lab mem? Kagari held the badge to her chest happily. I've got another treasure now. The path that lay before me might be even harder than the one I traveled so far, but I knew the light was still there at the end of it. I think I understand why Krisu and Ocarine became friends. Finally realized why my dad and everyone else relied on him so much. And I know why Mommy always loved him too. Kagari, that's not right. Mayushi is Okarine's hostage, so it's not like that. Wait, what? How come Ocarine gets all the chicks? Blow up and die. You've got Mom, Dad. Many different futures and many different paths. Where they all converge, I know I'll find you. So, yes, it's me. What? When am I coming to save you? Don't panic. Now is not the appointed hour. Who do you think I am? Listen, I am the mad scientist Hoyoin Kyoma, and I never go back on my word. So, for now, wait. I shall release you from the chains of time that bind you. Yes, I promise. Krisu, until the day comes that we meet, all I have I give to you. El Sai Conqueror. I imagined rolled credits there, but December 2011, Akihabara. A year after all the chaos, Maho visited the Future Gadgets lab for the first time in a long while. Oh, she's here. It's been a long time, everyone. Wow, it's Maho. I've missed you. Tuturu. It's good to see you again, Maho. I'm glad you're doing well, Nya. I'm gonna say happy ending. It's good to see nothing's changed here. Yeah. Looks like not much has changed with you either. I know, I'm still short. You don't have to tell me. That wasn't what I meant. I know, it was a joke. What's wrong? I've been so lonely without you for the past year, Maho. But wait, you don't need to grab me like that. But... I'm sorry, I wanted to come back in summer, but a lot happened at the university. The events of last January had left deep scars on Maho's lab. Of course they had. Not only was Amadeus involved, but many people in the college, including Dr. Reyes, had been involved as well. Thanks for coming all this way, Maho. Of course, I was part of this too. I've got a responsibility to see it to the end. But are you sure? All the cleanup work you did over the last year will go to waste. Won't go to waste. You're the one who said this world's future would connect to the past. So, I've done what I can in this world. Yeah, you're right. I was supposed to die in 2025, but I was alive. Everyone had been fooled. The past me, everyone in the future. The world had been deceived. I thought the future was certain, but instead I found a future I didn't expect. So, wouldn't I be able to deceive the world too? And by doing so, avoid the future that awaited us. And if I could deceive the world, maybe I could find Steins Gate. But how to do so, unfortunately, was beyond me right now. But the future me had said, the path to Steins Gate is a hard one. Trying again once and twice probably won't get you there. But I think starting there is the best way to get to it. I think that many futures are connected to the past. So this world we're in isn't wasted. It's a world that we need. At least that's what I think. Many futures all connected to the past. That meant there was only one thing for me to do. Hashida, did you finish it? Of course, it's ready to go. An old microwave sitting in the back of the development room. It was the time leap machine that Maho had helped finish. Daru had added a new function to it. Still, it's hard to believe that this thing controls the fate of the world. That's right, everything began here. Our fate and Krisu's had all been ruined by this device. The one difference between this and the old phone wave was that this was connected to a smartphone, not an old feature phone. Text messages to the past would be detected by CERN no matter what it did, which meant we'd become a target. That would mean taking this world that had gained only at the cost of sacrificing Krisu right back to where we started. There would be no point in that. But there were other ways to communicate now, beyond simple text messages. There were other ways to send messages. The software we use now, Ryan, was one of them. Like text messaging, but secure. I call it the D-Ryan. Of course, the idea of using the electrons of the CRT television in the Braun Tube workshop to control gravity and create a singularity to send the message back in time was the same. Used here to denote the astrophysics term gravitational singularity. This refers to a place where gravity is infinite. However, the existence of such a singularity is only theoretical, and, since the inside of gravitational singularity would be impossible to observe, cannot be proven. A black hole singularity is the point created by the gravitational collapse of a star that has reached the end of its life. You can think of it all as all matter in a star within a radius of several million kilometers, compressed down into a space smaller than the period at the end of this sentence. Lots of mass. And the amount we could send was still 18 characters, same as the D-mail. But we didn't have to worry about CERN finding it. We didn't have to worry about Mayuri being killed. The only problem was that we couldn't send messages back before we started using Ryan, but there was nothing I could do about that. The most important thing to do right now was make it possible. Jeez, it's pretty hard to find a way to make sure no one would detect it. It took forever to find a place they weren't watching. He complained, but he pulled it off anyway. That's my favorite right arm. Hey, haven't heard that in a while. But, are you sure about this, Ocarine? That's right, this may only bring you more pain, Kyoma. Maybe you're right. Then... But, I have to do it anyway. Ocarine? The Third World War was going to happen unless I could stop it. Kagaria and Suzuha's presence made that obvious. There was only one future that lay before us, but it was another piece of the path that would lead us to Steins Gate. To get there, I'd have to go into the past and start over. It would be fine. I was capable of starting over as many times as I needed to now. I could overcome anything, till I reached the promised door. I already had the message I was going to send. Sending that message must have been why I'd come to this world line in the first place. Of course, I didn't know what I'd think, or what I'd do when I received it, but I knew it would be a success. I would lead us to another future, and to another past. Kagari, are you nervous? If the past changes and the world's at peace, maybe I'll never see Mommy. Kagari, don't worry. Attractive field theory says that what's supposed to happen will happen. Even if the world line changes, you'll see Mayuri again. Really? Yeah, I guarantee it. Isn't that nice, Kagari? Okarin guarantees it, so I'm sure it's true. I'll see you in the future, okay? Yeah. Thanks, Uncle. There's no need to thank me. I sowed the seeds of all this anyway. And this was where things got really hard. No, let me say it anyway. Thank you. Say that to Daddy too. Please, say it to your daddy. Thanks, Dad. More. Look up at me with dewy eyes and say it again, my daughter. When the past changed, everything I'd done in the past year would be undone. All the futures I'd experienced and all the time it took me to come back would go away too. But they wouldn't go to waste. I was here now, and in the past I was just about to begin my work. And then the future lay beyond. When all those lives came together, the door to the future would be waiting. Steins Gate would be waiting. It is time. In the name of Hoyogi and Kyoma, I now initiate Operation Helheim. Lab members, are you ready? To find the way there, I would change the past again. Krisu, so that someday we can be together once more. Deceive the world, connect the possibilities, the world can be tricked. There we go. So, now we're left with, do we try to make an hour's worth of progress tonight? Towards the final ending. With the possibility that we go too far and have to commit. Or do we save it for next week? And cut it a bit short tonight. Which would probably mean we'd have to cut it a bit short next week too. Because I don't want to start a new visual novel. Considering just this ending took us like an hour and a half, I'd say no. Because we still have to take the path to the original ending, and then after that ending unlocks the true ending. So we're basically getting the path to an ending, and another ending. And once we get too far in, I can't stop. Not reasonably. I think the smart thing to do is end it here. Next week, if it goes too quick, if we get it done in an hour next week or something, we'll start Cast Child. I feel like 2 hours is the minimum I'd give to start a new visual novel. If it takes longer than that, we'll either end it early or we'll do like 2 hours of Heckin' Ryza or something. I don't know, something chill. I was worried this ending was going to be too quick and we'd do the other one tonight. I mean, the other one tonight wouldn't be bad, but like I think saving it for next week is the right call. But we're close. Next week we finish this. If it goes over next week, it goes over, whatever. That's fine. I think that's the right way to do it. And it's a Sunday and I could use a little bit extra sleep for work anyway, because I've been up late the past few nights. My own fault. Yay weekends. But, you know. Yeah. Oh man, it's a shame Ramen couldn't watch this one live. I hope they're freaking out at the VOD at all the crazy stuff happening, though. I hope they're losing their mind at some of the... Because these two endings were on the weirder side. The first one wasn't too bad, but this ending specifically, like him going into the memories, him ending up in the future, like, this ending had a lot of stuff in it. Then going back, like, a lot of stuff happened. I just imagine Ramen just losing their mind over there. But yeah, we're going to end it an hour early tonight. I guess I could do an hour of something, but again... I could grab a snack, relax a bit. D. Ryan was sent. Promised Rinascimento completed. New items open in CG Library. New wallpapers open with wallpaper settings. Okay, before I end for the night, I'm checking those wallpapers because I forget every single time. So hold on. I forget every single time. It doesn't even matter where we go. I just want to see the... Oh, that one probably won't have us have the phone out, will it? This one will. Alright, I just keep forgetting, so let's just check the heckin' wallpapers. Definitely not remembering which ones would be new. Is that one new? That one's definitely new. I think. I'd say these two. Maybe the Upa? I don't remember if the Upa was there before. But there you go. Cool. That's what we got. Oh, that ended towards the dating sim road. Yeah, it's just... So much happened. But yeah, presumably next week we finish this. I can't see any reason we wouldn't finish it next week. No matter how long the path is to that ending, I'd say once we've hit that point of no return, we're finishing it. Even if we have to go late next week. I'm okay with that. If somehow it's not that long of an ending, which seems unlikely to me, but hypothetically, I guess we could start Chaos Child, but either way. Tomorrow's going to be Elden Ring, 6 p.m. Tuesday's going to be Elden Ring, 6 p.m. Thursday's probably going to be Elden Ring, 6 p.m. Friday's probably going to be Chocobo. I think it releases Friday. I'm going to double check that date and I'll post it in the Discord if that changes. But I think Chocobo Grand Prix releases Friday. So maybe Friday, Saturday we'll do some Chocobo racing. Then Sunday will be this. But I'm really enjoying Elden Ring, and I keep going early because I feel like a 6-hour stream feels like a 2-hour stream to me. So I feel like cutting it back to the usual 4 would just feels like I barely even started the game. Like I do like half a dungeon and it just ends. So I keep giving it more time because A, I'm enjoying the hell out of the game, and B, it's one of those things where I feel like you need an X amount of time to sit down and really like tackle stuff. That's just how it's been going. So the times are subject to change if I need to cut it back to a regular time or something, but that's the plan for now. Also, since we're early tonight, I can raid somebody. Let's see who's going. I know Potions was going earlier, but I don't know where they are. I think they're past... Past me is a weird way of putting it. I think they're in a different part of Elden Ring than I am. But you know, I'm going to take that chance and raid them anyway. I bet you they're ending soon. I bet you as soon as we show up they end. I bet you. But we're going to raid Potions anyway, because I don't stream often, and Potions is cool. So. More stuff. Okay, cool. Gotta sell them. Monster, a Discord, and a quote. As well as, do it.
Hey master, I am mad scientist. It's so cool. Son of a bitch.
So yeah, thank you all for tuning in, thank you all for watching. Hope everybody had a good heckin' time tonight. And yeah, see you all next time.